by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
Developing through technology an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So individual carbon footprint tracker.
We recognize different ages for different purposes. We recognize 18 for the draft. We recognize 16 for driving in some states. We recognize 21 for drinking. So we recognize different ages for different purposes. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Could I have a second to engage that?
Certainly. I'll yield to the gentleman from Kentucky.
Would the chairman join me in co-sponsoring a bill to raise the draft age to 21?
No.
But the chairman feels that their brains aren't fully formed at 18, 19, and 20.
The research does indicate that in certain respects, but the Selective Service needs, I mean, if
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him. What do we do now?
Back to them, or do you want to stay with Donald Trump?
Fuck Joe Biden.
To go along with this, and I'd see through all of your lies, Barack Obama, you wicked, wicked devil!
Welcome back to another night of Stick with Koolfrogg, featuring AmericaShirts. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see if he shows up here in a few minutes or if he doesn't. He hasn't talked to me yet today. Told him the studio's open and he's currently absent. I have no clue what that means. It's kind of strange, kind of disturbing, kind of interesting. Let's go take a look at a couple places to see if he's not sitting somewhere else. Pick a burger, Whopper, Big Mac. Ugh. Neither. Freaking disgusting. Going to put that in there. Disgusting. Neither. You should have a third option on that, apparently. Thanks, expert, for being that way. Ugh. See his participants. See who he has for a participant over there. AmericaShirts over there? No, AmericaShirts isn't over there. Where is AmericaShirts? AmericaShirts, AmericaShirts, AmericaShirts. See if that happens. No? That's a little rough. I don't like reading articles without him. I go read an article without him, then I feel like I fill him in what he missed. We'll see. Maybe I'll just have to do it anyway. So let's start with this one. We'll start some international news. This has come out of RT. Yes, that is the Russian Times. You know, that newspaper that's stationed in Poland. I don't know, right? Sounds a little strange. Sounds a little weird. I'm going to check that out. China calls for immediate ceasefire in Ukraine. China? Of course China has something to say about it, right? All parties in conflict should sit down, calm down, and resume talks, Beijing ambassadors of the U.S. has said. Because, you know, the ambassador of Beijing, you know, in China really seriously feels this way, really wants it to calm down, wants to sit down and talk about it. Oh, not us. It's not us. It's between these two. Mr. Volodymyr Zelensky and Mr. Vladimir Putin. Has nothing to do with us whatsoever, period. But, because we have to actually be the ones that run roughshod across everything, and actually, are the leaders of NATO. We're the ones that are going to sit there and we're going to actually say, oh, yeah, that's what we need to do. You guys need to stop it. So this is China calls for immediate ceasefire in Ukraine and resumption of talks between all parties involved in the conflict, including the U.S. and NATO. Oh, we do have to have something to say because we're U.S. and NATO. Oh, because, NATO is, there's so many countries that are involved with NATO right now. There's 30. I don't know if they actually finished. There's supposed to be 32, 33 of them by the time they're done finished trying to do their talks. See, that's where AmericaShirts comes in. Hey, AmericaShirts, which one was it? 32 or 33? Just 32? Was Turkey supposed to actually be part of it? Or the Turkey already was part of it. Turkey had an issue with the other two countries, so it would have been 32. Ah, okay. Speaking at the Aspen Security Forum in Colorado, he said that the ongoing conflict in Ukraine has spilling over and causing multiple crises, including economic downturn and influx in migrants and energy and food shortages. So what China is calling for is immediate ceasefire, resumption of peace talks. All parties involved should be engaged, including between Russia and U.S. and its NATO allies. Fine. Call for it. Call for the ceasefire. Resume peace talks. And instead of continuing to feed Ukraine millions and billions of dollars, you turn around and you give the money back. F off. I'm so sick of the crap. It's so disturbing beyond so many levels that they're just going to sit there and they're going to run around. They're going to pull this crap. Are you seriously? F off. That's not how it works. He called on the sides to sit down, calm down, and find a way out of the dilemma, which would be based on the principle of accommodating each other's legitimate concerns. Yeah, legitimate concerns of what? Putin's getting his ass kicked, supposedly, by not Ukraine, but by the UN. That's not supposed to be doing shit. Oh, wait, it's not the UN. It's the U.S. The USA went and sent millions and billions of dollars to the Ukraine, sent arms and weapons. And so basically it's us, we're the ones, us taxpayers are the ones that have to actually go and put ourselves over the top to make these people feel accommodated to actually be able to fight their own war. Stupid. Only by doing so can we achieve peace and can we restore the security of Europe, which has been stable. Should be comprehensive, should be balanced, effective, and sustainable. Adding that the position was shared by other developing countries. Delve into Hunter Biden's corrupt laptop with Joe Biden. We actually have. We have in several episodes. Welcome to the show, Ann Kirk. We'll do it again. I don't have a problem doing it again. But, absolutely, we've totally done so. Yeah, and this show is usually myself and AmericaShirts, who's my co-host. And we've totally covered the bullshit issues that go along with Hunter Biden and his crap. If there's something that comes up today when I'm digging through all these news articles, maybe I'll just do so. Hang out, find out. According to ambassadors, Beijing believes that the national sovereignty of the territorial integrity of all countries must be respected, and that the legitimate security concerns of all countries must be taken seriously. Meanwhile, 2 days ago, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmitry Kuleba declared the peace negotiations with Moscow would make sense only after Russia defeat on the battlefield. By saying so, he echoed that the remarks of the EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell, who claimed that the war in Ukraine will be won on the battlefield. So there's already people that are sitting there telling us that the war in Ukraine is going to be won on the battlefield, but then you got China turning around and no, you need to an immediate ceasefire and stop everything that's going on and just go into peace talks, because peace talks is so much better than actually going into war. Like I said, they can F off. They can actually send the billions and millions of dollars back to the United States. I'm sick of having to pay taxes so that somebody else can feel free in their own country. Why does the U.S. always have to get involved in everybody else's wars? The U.S. doesn't need to get into it, and the U.S. needs to stay the F out. Meanwhile, 2 days ago, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmitry Kuleba declared that the peace negotiations in Moscow would make sense only after Russia's defeat in the battle. Oh, I just read that paragraph. I'm sorry. Russian Foreign Affairs spokesperson Maria Zakharova responded to Kuleba's statement and saying that the Ukrainian government did not seek peace with the country, and instead of talking to Russia, who's choosing to sing along to Washington tune. Kremlin spokesman Peskov has previously accused the U.S. and the allies of actively beating on the continued war and not allow Kyiv to think nor talk about or discuss peace. So the Kremlin has accused the U.S. and its allies of actively betting on a continued war? Huh. Really? So who's running this? Who's the one that's actually running this war? Who's actually benefiting the most from it? Joe Biden? Joe Biden, the one that has his pocket, has Zelensky in his back pocket, or is it Joe Biden that's sitting in Zelensky's back pocket? Or whose back pocket is he actually in? Maybe he's in China's back pocket, and he's actually like, oh, if you could do this and that and the other, then I can make you more money, while they make more money. Well, in the long run, no matter what, all these little companies that Hunter Biden actually runs, Joe Biden makes another dollar from, because 10% for the big guy. Kremlin spokesman, I already read that one. Sorry. Moscow and Kyiv started peace talks 4 days after the start of the Russian military offense in Ukraine in late February. The sides have held several rounds of in-person in Belarus, and then continued the talks via video link in late March. The delegations of Russia and Ukraine met once again in Istanbul. Since then, however, the talks have stalled. Oh, just stalled. Just nothing to talk about, because as long as the U.S. keeps on pumping money into Ukraine, the Ukraine gets to actually go and continue and point fingers that Russia's attacking them and taking their territory. I don't really believe everything. I really don't. I don't believe everything that they actually say is actually true. I think that there's a lot more to it. When I say a lot more, I mean a lot more. Well, let's go back a little bit here. Let's see if there's anything else that's interesting to go along with this international news. U.S. admits debt problem hurts UN standing. Oh, look at that. Our debt problem. U.S. admits debt problem hurts UN standing. Washington lagging behind the UN dues, creating a challenge exploited by China. The U.S. being billions of dollars behind the UN commitments of hurting Washington's ability to influence the World Organization. Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield told the Senate Foreign Relations Committee on Wednesday, while the American delegation has resisted attempts at shaming over the issue, it has created an opening in China. Thomas Greenfield, the USAID Administrator Samantha Powers, testified before the committee on Wednesday morning. With global food security, the principal topic of most of the questions dealing with the grain exports from Russia and Ukraine halted by the conflict. About halfway through the hearing, however, Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat from Connecticut, brought up the issue of the U.S. debt. This is really the crux of the challenge that I face in New York every single day, as we are put in the position of having to compete with our adversaries and being able to influence the UN actions. We're reminded publicly and attempted to shame, but we don't feel shame that we have such large debt, such large arrears in the UN, as we large arrears. Oh, so we owe something. We actually have debt in arrears. Really? That doesn't sound like fun. That sounds like there's some other issues that are going on. So we really do haven't addressed the issue if we're going to be able to compete with, she added. While Murphy suggested that this left openings in China and Russia. Thomas Greenfield pointed out that Beijing is able to fund posts and about 400 young professionals in the UN, while the U.S. cannot. Go figure. Every gap that we leave in the opening is an opening for the Chinese. They flow into every open space that we leave. Thomas Greenfield and Power spent much of this hearing blaming Russia for the shortages of grain and fertilizer in the global market, insisting it had nothing to do with the embargo by the U.S. and its allies against Moscow over the conflict of Ukraine. Oh, really? It has nothing to do with it? Has nothing to do with it whatsoever? Because there seems to be some issues. There seems to be that there's an awful lot of grain that's not being shipped into the areas that need to be. I was just at a grocery store again today. That bread aisle looks ridiculous. Not that there isn't something to come around or whatever, but food in grocery stores only lasts about 3 days. Especially when it's the only grocery store in town. So if there's only one grocery store and it only lasts 3 days on a regular average basis, where you need a truck to actually fill up the grocery store, eventually there's going to be some massive issues. When Murphy suggested left openings in China and Russia, Thomas Greenfield pointed out that Beijing was able to fund posts from 400. See, I'm reading the same freaking lines over again. What is my problem? Every gap that we leave in the open in the Chinese, they flow into every open space that we leave. Hello, Dragon Man. How's it going? Thomas Greenfield, the Power, spent much of the hearing blaming Russia for the shortages of grain and fertilizer in the global market, insisting that it had nothing to do with the embargo by the U.S. and its allies against Moscow over the conflict of Ukraine. Such accusations are lies. Russian Foreign Ministry Sergei Lavrov told RT and Sputnik in an interview on Wednesday. Lavrov pointed out that the sanctions had targeted ships, port facilities, and insurance, and the effect of cutting off Russian grain exports while the Ukrainian grain is stuck in ports, mined over the orders from Kyiv. The U.S. and its allies now want to drag the UN Security General into the games. Doesn't sound very safe. Sounds like there's a lot that's actually, that's going to continue to happen. Like we just read the last article that says that China is, asking us to, asking everybody to sit down and do some peace talks as opposed to continuing the war. So, I mean, if one communistic country is telling us that we should sit down and go into peace talks, why is the other communistic country saying, oh, well, we just want to continue doing what we're doing? Who knows, right? What the hell is this? This is new. Biden unveils U.S. military thoughts on Taiwan. We need to stay the hell out. I mean, that little island that's most likely going to be called China one of these days, we really need to stay out of it. I'm so sick of hearing of the U.S. and UN jumping in at any point in time, turning around and making it sound like we need to actually do something and interject in every little thing that goes on. 3 people, huh? Somebody's sitting over in Twitch. What's going on? How's it going? Multimedia outlets reported Tuesday that Pelosi was planning on taking congressional delegation to Taipei in August after concealing the April trip on account to catch certain particular Koof, the 82-year-old Democrat, has not officially confirmed or denied the trip. Neither has the government of Taipei. Oh, that's right, she did. She caught that and she refused to actually go. She canceled the trip. So being that she canceled the trip, now she still has to go. She has to go some other way, shape, or form. If Pelosi goes through with the trip, if they're already questioning if she's even going to make it, She'd be the highest-ranking U.S. official to visit Taiwan since the Republican House Speaker Newt Gingrich did so in 1997. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said on Wednesday that the U.S. remains committed to the One China policy, while in Washington's eyes that means that Taiwan's status remains unresolved. Beijing says it means that Chinese sovereignty over the island and reunification only a matter of time. An island formerly controlled by Japan, Taiwan, has been run by the Chinese nationalists who left the mainland in 1949 after losing the civil war against the Communist Party. Go figure. Dragonman says, the people that make the decisions don't pay the price. A lesson from Vietnam. Yeah, exactly. We sit there... we keep on interjecting ourselves in all these wars and all these different conflicts, and we end up with issues like that. Vietnam, that was never actually, we should have just left it alone and let them be. I'm so sick of us interjecting in everybody else's stuff, everybody else's civil wars. Not that I think that the Communist Party is good, because it's obviously not. Obviously, there's something wrong with it. And every single time that they say, "Oh, let's turn it back to a free market," that wasn't real communism. That was just, we were trying something and it didn't work. Each and every single time. On Tuesday, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Zhao Lijian said that Pelosi's visit to Taiwan would have a grave impact on the Sino-American ties, violating the One China policy and existing agreements between Washington and Beijing. If the U.S. insists on going one way, China will take firm enforceable measures to firmly safeguard national sovereignty and territorial integrity. The U.S. must bear all the consequences of the visit. Doesn't sound safe. Doesn't sound like anybody should really go. Maybe actually they should actually send Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, and maybe a couple others. Just throw them all. Just send them all. Send them all there, all at the same time. See what happens. See if they actually can sit down and peacefully talk this out. Mitch McConnell can go with them. There you go. You got your top four. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not Mitch McConnell. Leahy's the top four. So, send all four of them. See what happens. I'd be fine with that. I'd be fine with that if they feel that it's going to be unsafe. They need to, that the U.S. must bear the consequences of the visit. Send them. We'll bear the consequences because we'll all be super excitedly happy when everything goes down the way we want it to. I'm going to see if I can't summon AmericaShirts, get him in here to leave his thoughts as well. Kind of weird when it says stick with Koolfrogg featuring AmericaShirts and AmericaShirts isn't there. Just saying. This would be a good time to take Taiwan and Ukraine at the same time, putting myself in their shoes. So, I mean, what you want us to take, like, UN side, or let the communists take over? Dragon Man, you want to come in here? I'll send you a link. You can come chat with me for a few minutes until this party kicks off. There you go. There's the link. I just sent it to you. What's up, Jake, man? How you doing?
Doing okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. What I meant by the chat was if I was.
Let me know.
Yeah. So if I put myself in the commie shoes, if I could tie the U.S. up in Ukraine and also take Taiwan, then I kind of split up the U.S. concentration, kind of like fighting a two-front war. And, I think that would be good timing from the commie side. But, logistically, I don't know if the Chinese are up for that or not. But
Well, see, and I know that you just kind of stepped in. Did you hear the first article that I had read out?
no, man, I just
Okay.
joined.
No, okay, I just wanted to be sure that. So here's this. This is the first article that I read out. It says China calls for immediate ceasefire in Ukraine. Why would you think that China would want to actually call for a ceasefire and have everybody sit down and talk it out, hash it out? What do you think would benefit them for that to actually happen? Because all I see is the U.S. getting screwed.
I'm not sure. It's like they may just be saying it, talking trash, or
I mean, this is RT, so it's not U.S. paper that's actually saying this is Russian Times,
yeah,
that paper that's published out of Poland. So I mean,
yeah. Maybe they're afraid of the neocons, but and as we all know, like on the streams, we are, kind of like my previous comment. The people that call the shots don't represent the everyday American, and I really don't think they're going to be able to pull a draft off to get America involved in war unless it's like a real Pearl Harbor thing. But even then, I just think the way things are now, you're not going to be able to get people to rally around the flag for anything other than, Russians landing in New York City or something. I just don't see it. But interesting thing about the Chinese and the Russians, they, historically they've had sort of like sometimes they're together being buddies, and then other times they have a history of being enemies. So they're both going to look at their alliance to be mutual benefit for their own selfish purposes. So, but that is kind of interesting for them to call for a thing
call
to
for the
knock it
peace
off.
talk, right? So I mean, if they're calling for peace talks, what my suggestion on that would be is like, fine, if that's what you want to do and you want to actually go through and start talking peace, great. Send the millions and billions of dollars that we sent over there back. You don't need the money anymore. You don't need it to actually continue to actually fight this war. You're done. Send it back. You don't need it.
Yeah, and
The only person I see that it actually is helping, who it's actually funding, is somebody like Joe Biden.
yeah, and with the Ukraine, for about maybe the first few months, I watched it pretty closely, but after a while, it just kind of slowed down that I don't keep up with it as much as I used to. But there's two things I'm seeing, or the people that I'm hearing from, and they're all on YouTubers. One is that it's kind of getting a slow go, and the Ukrainians are being very tenacious, but at the other end, that they're being destroyed slowly but surely. And the most recent thing I was watching today is a guy was saying the big thing that's going on that's decimating them is Russian artillery, and that's taking a toll. But the one thing I can say, Koolfrogg, is I'm really having a hard time following American military strategists like retired generals because, they've got a bias to be optimistic, like any general's going to be in war, is I can do this, I can win this war. But it's kind of like some of these predictions are not panning out. So I don't know. I mean, conceivably, this thing could go on for years, but I've heard some people saying should wrap up, sometime at the end of the summer, and that if they're being sent all this new equipment, they have to be trained up on it, and they have to be supplied. And I don't want to offend anybody, but this is not something I have a lot of interest in, as far as rooting for this, because I just like Ukraine. Where's that? I had to look it up on the map to find out what's going on or where it's at. So it's just not my thing. But
sure, right, that country that was initially at one point in time part of the Soviet Union, Kyiv being the capital of that particular. Back then, it was actually the capital of what they called Kiev and Rus. So I mean, when you actually look into it further or whatever, and you actually see that Russia's had actually separated themselves from the area at one point in time after years and years of violence and destruction, to only continue to keep areas like Crimea. The whole thing is just it's a bunch of to me bullshit. This is something that should never actually happen, and I'm so sick of the U.S. I know they're like, oh, it's not the U.S., it's the UN. Well, who's the main source of the UN? 30 countries, possibly 32, because it sounded like there's supposed to be two of those Nordic countries. Was it Switzerland, Norway, that were actually going to actually try joining? They had some issues with Turkey for a little bit, but it sounded like they were actually going to, join the UN. Well, if you join the UN, to me sounds like that would be the military for what would be considered the New World Order, and it really seems to be that the U.S. is funding most of this, the millions and billions of dollars that we dumped into Ukraine so that Ukraine can continue to fight their war. We're not staying out of it. We'll never stay out of it. Why? Because Joe Biden has something to do with Ukraine. We all kind of heard some stuff. I had the one person show up. I don't know if she's still with us. Ann Kirk. First thing she says, delve into Hunter Biden's corrupt laptop with Joe. And it's like, I mean, we've done this. We've done that a couple times where we kind of delved into the Hunter Biden issues, and it's like when you actually delve into that and you actually start looking, you find out that the ties to different companies, major companies, like Burisma, and it's just like, well, wait a minute here. What are we actually funding? Who are we actually funding when we start sending these millions and billions of dollars to help this country out to continue to fight their war against what we are supposed to consider Russia as the tyrants? And it's like, well, wait a minute here. They, if you look at it and Russia actually says about it. Russia actually says that they're fighting off what those them Yahtzees, it's like, well, what the hell, man? What are we doing? Who's fighting what? Who are we actually backing? And if we're backing such things as the Ukrainian Yahtzees, is that a good thing for us to continue to do? Because I don't see it as being a good thing. I think it's not going to turn out the way they're expecting it to, and there's going to be lots of issues.
Well, I'm wondering, with that particular group you mentioned, I'm wondering if it's because, they still have memories from the Second World War, for some of the Ukrainians that fought against the Russians. And so it's kind of like, they have a memory that goes back a few generations. And that, something I think in the U.S. We don't really appreciate these generational memories very much. We just kind of think in the current time period, perhaps. Um, but again, I've kind of have sort of an anti-war bent, and there's a couple of different reasons for that. But I don't want to get real deep about it. But I just don't think we have a stomach for it. And, there's also, because most people are concerned about, it's like, oh, gas is now $5 a gallon now. Oh, it used to be $6. We're so happy, so.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Joe Biden said something about this within the last few days about it being at $5, and he's like, "You should be happy. I got it down to $5." And it's like, well, you got it down to $5, or you got it up to $5? Which way is it? Because if you're thinking us and you're like, well, if we get it up to $6-7, and then us and we drop it down to 5, everybody's gonna be like, oh yeah, it's $5, yay! No, nobody's thinking that. We went to fill up the van tonight. And lucky for us, we really don't have to drive all that often, but
Yeah.
we did have to go get gas tonight. I'm like, oh, it looks like it's 20 cents less than it was, a couple days ago, which is great. It still took us $75 to fill a freaking van, man. It's like
Yeah.
that's not no.
I-
Go back to Trump and spend $20, fill up the whole damn thing. I was so sick of this $75, and they're like, "Oh, it's a good thing." Where's it a good thing?
Well, there are just so many variables going on in society now. One is economic, the other is cultural, and then the other is the political landscape that we're in now. And a lot of those are real emotional issues for people. And so, people just have to kind of figure out who, what's important to them. But it, but it is sort of scary when you go
Here,
to.
this is exactly what I was talking about. Here, let's check this out. This is still RT paper.
Okay.
U.S. administration explains how soaring gas prices are actually a benefit. Soaring gas prices in the U.S. are a benefit to owners of electric vehicles. Department of Transportation Security Pete Buttigieg is testifying before the House committee on Tuesday. Buttigieg suggested that people who are currently struggling to pay the $5 per gallon of gas could offset their pain by purchasing an EV instead. An average cost for an EV is $65,000. Yeah, we just have $65,000 laying around because that's just a simple thing to do. No, who has $65,000 laying around, and who in their right mind thinks that an electric vehicle is actually the fix to soaring gas prices?
Well,
Go ahead.
I think that's a little insensitive, because I'm sure as the Department of Transportation Secretary, I'm sure he makes a comfortable living. But for the average person working in a retail establishment, to ask that person to shell out $65,000 for this greater good, I mean
Is it still for the greater good though? Because where does that battery come from? Who is actually mining the soils to actually get the lithium out of the ground and then to produce it to actually make these batteries that once they die do the same thing that wind power plants and solar power plants actually do? Because the second they wear out and they die and they're no longer usable, they end up in the landfill. They don't break down, they don't biodegrade, and they actually contaminate the ground.
Yeah, it's well. Again, I'm being kind of broad about this greater good, but it what you just said reminds me of when I think it was I think the Cortez lady from New York was talking about being an advocate for all this green stuff, but it's kind of like, are they really considering, thinking about all the cost, like what you just said? Uh, are they thinking about whole picture? And I
Of
guess
course
maybe
they're not.
yeah, I just I just don't have a lot of faith in these people. I just
In any of them, and it's not just Alexandria Ocasio Cortez out of New York that I had, that I don't trust. It's the rest. It's a whole bunch of them on both sides of the aisle. It doesn't matter which one you actually look at; they all have something to say about it. And they're all like, "Oh, it'll be good. It'll be great. It's going to leave a smaller carbon footprint on the earth." And it's like, no, it's not. It's not going to do anything close to that. It's not going
well,
to do anything close to it because you still have to think about all the process that goes through it and what these batteries, once they deplete, because you're not going to go and replace it because these batteries are expensive as can be. These batteries that are in these cars are almost the size of the whole base of the car. So it's like when you go and you remove something like that and you replace it, it's going to probably cost you another $30,000. They're only good, these batteries, before they deplete. There's like a 5 to 8 year range. With a 5 to 8 year range, and you're spending $65,000, you'd be lucky to pay off the $65,000 before the battery actually depletes to the point where you need to replace it.
how much
And you're
does the
going to
battery
be
cost?
right, and they're just going to be like, oh, we'll replace it for you, and then we'll just add it to the cost of your car, and then so now your $65,000 car is now $85,000. Hopefully you were keeping up on your payments, because if you didn't keep on the payments, they're just going to come and take it from you, and you're out the money. So I mean, it's an ever evolving bunch of bull crap in my mind. I really don't see any of this being good for anybody.
Uh, yeah. Well, it's just so sad because it just seems like all this was self-inflicted, you know, and it didn't have to be, but it is. Yeah, it's like that NATO expansion. My understanding is there was this gentleman's agreement that uh, they agreed that they were not going to extend NATO, and like what you said, NATO really is just the U.S. You know,
Right, the United States with 29 other countries that they all kind of joined together to create a military might that would actually take care of the original reason that it was created was to defeat the Warsaw Pact, in which it did. The Warsaw Pact no longer exists, but NATO decided to still continue to exist. I see it as the New World Order's military is what how I feel it is. I really don't see that it's going to be healthy for anybody in the long run to have this UN thing.
well, the what you said also reminds me of the first Gulf War back in 1991 when uh, I forget the guy's name, but when they were under President Bush, the elder Bush, uh, there was this big gearing up to take out Saddam Hussein. Nobody else really wanted in on it. And so there was all this maneuvering to get people to go along with it. Uh, and you had to convince Muslim nations to go on and give them incentives to participate. And then also, keeping Israel happy. And because, I guess the relationships over there are better now, but it was like the Muslims didn't want to be on the same side as the Israelis. But the driving force about was the I'll use the term New World Order from George Bush, the elder. So likewise, by analogy, it's not really NATO. It's the U.S. basically, and like I say, I think your co-host is here. So
What's up, America? No, you can hang out for a little bit if you want. You don't have to take off if you don't want to.
Henry Kissinger's New World Order, or the liberal world order, wishing for, a new world order, as Biden likes to call it, and of course, as you said, as Bush called it as well.
Right. So this is the first article we kicked off with. This is, China calls for immediate ceasefire in Ukraine. It's like, oh yeah, okay. So a communist country is going to sit there and tell them that they need to actually sit down and talk it out, hash it out. I say, fine, do that, but send the millions and billions of dollars back to the United States. I don't know if you've been paying attention at all.
Off and on.
Okay, so then, there's an issue with Taiwan, where U.S. military, don't on top of the issues in Ukraine that they're actually trying to say, oh, what's this kind of, hold that off. It's going to peace talks, and the whole thing to me is a bunch of bullshit, and I really don't see it being good for the United States or the UN to actually continue to do what they're doing. They need to pull the fuck out, leave it alone, quit interjecting everybody else's wars, and just let China and Russia do what they're going to do. If they go and they take over an area, big deal. We kind of hit on Pete Buttigieg and his bullshit was saying, oh, $5 a gallon of gas, you should incentivize people to actually go ahead and purchase EV vehicles that are worth $65,000. It's just like the idiocy that comes out of this left is just so dumb. I'm so sick of it.
I was listening to some of what you guys were talking about with the Russia-Ukraine war, and how it's kind of hard to find out some of the stuff that's going on the ground. One of the best people that I've been looking at for that is a guy by the name of Armchair Warlord on Twitter. on Twitter. And he has a bunch of good stuff there.
Armchair Warlord.
He's actually liked several of my tweets.
Nice. That's awesome. It's always helpful to actually get somebody that actually liked your stuff.
I retweeted something from him here earlier today. I got 3 other people who liked that one from the reply.
Oh, these tweets are protected. Only approved followers can see Armchair W's tweets.
Armchair W? It's Armchair Warlord.
That's what I put in, Armchair Warlord, and it comes up with the @ is Armchair W. Is the @ supposed to be Armchair Warlord?
Yeah, it is at Armchair W. Yeah.
Yeah, trying to be sure that I'm clicking on the right one. It says, so it's my follow is pending. It says, so most likely he's going to go check me out before he actually says I can join him or not. Maybe he'll actually see that we're whatever we talk to each other.
Well, people can be nasty to each other on Twitter quite readily. So.
Yeah, without even thinking.
Well, I didn't have to wait for anything. I just joined up. I don't know what this.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. We have a small group with us tonight. It looks like there's one sitting on YouTube, one sitting in Twitch.
Hello, small group.
Everybody's sitting over with the expert and his panel of guests.
Panel of misfits. Ha ha! I'm just kidding.
Well, we're supposed to be part of those misfits. That's the thing.
We are. I mean, we are, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. But maybe I should throw a link out to a couple people, see if I can't get some more people to come in here.
Yeah, and by small, a small audience, we don't mean, as Joe Neerman said tonight, we don't mean vertically challenged. Oh my God, he freaking said, he said something about like something being small and small this small, like, no, he said, because like the guy that was outside when Steve Bannon came outside to give a speech about what happened on the court today, he was there, and there's this lefty that was standing there just like blasting this freaking whistle like batshit, and he was like, he's like, I wanted to punch this guy in the face. but we want to be civilized, so I didn't want to do anything like that, but then he went on to say, like, that's what small people do. He called him a prick. And he said, that's what small people do. These are what small people do like this, trying to silence other people like this. And he said, and by small, I don't mean vertically challenged.
That's funny.
It freaking cracked me up. It's like, oh my God.
I was actually watching Joe Neerman as opposed to watching the expert. So I'm like, oh, they're not going to do anything special. They're all going to sit around because there's 4 people on the panel.
I referred to Madcore as a Darth Madcore.
I've seen that.
He's got the black hood over.
There's an article I was reading off the RT. There was an article that actually disappeared now. I can't seem to find it. Let's see if I can.
RT may slowly disappear off your computer if you're in the United States.
Oh, here it is. Was I sharing this already? Russia begins building Egypt's first nuclear power plant to be completed by 2028. They're only spending $30 billion on the project. It sounds very interesting why Russia has means to actually, or wants to have means to actually build such a power plant in Egypt. Why would they want anything to do with Egypt whatsoever? So it says Russia state-owned Rosatom has begun construction on El Dabei nuclear power plant. The company said that the press release published on Wednesday. The start of the construction on the El Dabei power plant, first reactors, means Egypt is now joining the club of the world's nuclear energy producing nations. They're actually going to produce clean energy. Isn't that something? I know the argument on is they don't have a way of actually storing the fallout or whatever, and whatever. Obviously,
I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, go ahead.
I see right there you're saying where it says read more, 3 more countries set to join BRICS. And that makes me think that, and this is something we all know and sometimes talk about, is I'll use, just to make things simple, I'll use the term American empire. Because at the end of the Second World War, the U.S. could do whatever, or the powers that be could do whatever they wanted to. But as you see the BRICS, they're getting more self-sufficient, so they're willing to flex what they want, and may tell like Wall Street, or the State Department, get lost. We're gonna do our own thing. So, I may not live to see it, but in the lives of, the generations younger than me, we'll see America going the way of Great Britain after the Second World War, where you're still there, but you don't wield the influence that you once had. So that's just something I wanted to mention when I saw that little underlined sentence there.
So, what else do we got here?
I didn't have anything. That's why I was like going through newspapers.
Well, Biden,
just international news.
Biden announced today, if I can bring up the video, that he didn't declare an emergency, but he said that there is a climate emergency.
He did say something. I did catch
and
a
then
couple
he also
of clips.
said, "I have cancer."
Yeah, that's
So
what I said. I
that's
did
great.
catch a couple of clips of him actually saying that he had cancer. I was figuring he didn't, but I see that they actually tried clarifying that, and they actually came across saying that he was talking about the cancer that he had removed.
Oh, I'm sure
Yeah.
that's what that is.
Yeah, that was their clarification on
Because
that.
there is absolutely nothing wrong with him. Absolutely nothing wrong. He's perfect. Perfect bill of health. I've never heard of or seen anyone healthier than him, actually. I mean, I've seen like 20-year-old military guys who aren't as healthy as Joe Biden. Okay, he is like the perfect bill of health. There is nothing wrong with him.
Did you have a video that you said?
Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. Okay. Wait, no, go away.
There was one person that popped in here, at the very beginning. It was a new person that I had never seen before. The name was Ann Kirk. And so, as I was reading the first article out of RT, she says, delve into Hunter Biden's corrupt laptop with Joe Biden. And I said, well, we kind of already done so in a few different times. I said, but yeah, if we come across something today, we'll totally hit it up and we'll,
Then they left you. Right? Are they still here? They still here? Oh,
I don't know.
I don't know. I can't tell. I have this pulled up. I have this potato on my screen.
I don't know
Waiting
if
to be
they're still with
mashed by
us. I brought up the name because I'm
Kamala.
hoping that the person stuck around, because I said if you find something, we'll
Allegedly.
totally talk about it. And it looks like there's some stuff that actually come up.
See, like this background here, like that's like Biden's brain. It's just like a bunch of scattered pieces, just like floating around. Just like, what the hell is happening? Anyway.
Hello, Massachusetts.
Hello, Massachusetts.
It's listen to the way like.
Hello, Massachusetts.
Is he in Massachusetts?
I think so.
It says that he's in Somerset.
That's what everybody else says, unless they're just following along with what the president says. Hell, he's probably like in frickin' like North Carolina along the beach or something, and he's just like, "Hello, Massachusetts,"
It's an honor to be with you, outstanding members of Congress today. Senator Ed Markey,
outstanding is right because they're the only ones that are outside and standing for you.
Where's that go?
All 5 of them.
Senator
Did I just lower the number? Yeah, I did.
Elizabeth Warren, Congressman Auchinclaw, Sauce.
Pocahontas!
Where is she? There you go, Jake.
I'm an
Bill
Indian
Keating,
too.
Congressman. And your great former members, and one of my dearest friends, John Kerry, is doing a great job leading our international special presidential envoy on climate.
Oh, there they got the picture of these fine-looking bastards in this bitch here. This guy here.
This bitch, the one that you're circling now.
Yeah. As you can see, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, just so we're clear, when people have made mention of Elizabeth Warren being more pale than a piece of white bleached copy paper, you can see there is no difference between her skin and that shirt right there that's pure white. Like, there's no difference. Look at this guy here. Like, look, it looks like he has skin. Like, her, it's just like, I don't know, is she translucent?
Seriously, looks like her shirt's blue compared to the guy next to her.
Literally, it looks, because she's so freaking white. But she's an Indian, ladies and gentlemen. She is Native American. She is as red-complected as they come, according to her.
Yeah, look at the skin tone compared to all those other 4 guys right next to her.
I mean, literally. She's the literal whitest person. I mean, if anybody was to say, I'm an Indian too, it should be John Kerry here. It's like, no, the literal whitest person that's ever walked the face of the planet is I'm an Indian too. Asu. Achu.
I wish we could still play that song. It took a whole freaking episode for me. Assholes.
I know. But this guy here, Mr. John Kerry here, he's been running around the world doing all sorts of things for quote-unquote climate change, a.k.a. shove everybody off a damn cliff. And he's even come out and said publicly many times, like, he meets with the UN people, he meets with other nations. He's like this independent envoy for the United States, deep state, to these other countries. He was there with Iran, did things with Iran. Was like, oh, no. Don't worry. Biden's coming into office here. You don't need to take down your Iran deal. We don't need to do anything like that. It's totally fine. It's underneath the Trump administration. He's acting as an envoy for the quote-unquote 4th branch of government, the deep state. So, like, this guy is the slimiest, shadiest, disgusting bastard here at John Kerry. And, of course, his son was a partner with Hunter, or his stepson, was a partner with Hunter Biden, with Burisma, and all the rest of that finagly shit going on with Ukraine, and all of that garbage. So, this guy is filthy as, well, filth. Maybe that's why he's darker complected. It's not a complexion, it's his own filth. But
he looks like Herman Munster.
He has not aged well. We'll put it that way. Adrenochrome does those things to people. What a legend. So this guy here, again, he's involved in all this climate change crap. And he gets on TV and he tells you, oh, well, don't worry. Even if Trump is in the White House here for this little bit, which he really won't be. We didn't plan anything. Even if that's true, and the Republicans are in the House and the Senate, guess what, folks? We've got all the major corporations marching in lockstep with us. They're pushing this agenda, so it doesn't matter what you want to vote for. Everybody's just going to go this way, and we're all just going to shove you off a cliff, and it's fine. It's totally okay. That's this guy. So anyways, just as some context, as Biden is up there, the potato in chief, telling you all this stuff as he's being danced around like a marionette doll, think of him as being the guy who's dancing him around as a marionette doll in the crowd there, because he's the one who's there as the envoy for the globalists, for these globalist-controlled deep state people who are wanting this great reset agenda of quick hurry up and shove off everybody off a cliff for climate change reasons. We'll change to new energy sources, which there is none, which we don't have any of, so you're just shoving us off a cliff. So yeah, that's what you should think about whenever you're doing this. He's there, dancing him around. And this is this is his show, kind of.
You
because
should put
the-
it
he's
in
the climate on
two-speed because it's Joe Biden. We're still going to understand his
Traveling
dumb
the
ass
world
movie.
and talking with an awful lot of people. He's talking into moving more than they've been doing. And another great Massachusetts native, Gina McCarthy. Gina, there she is.
Where
My
is she?
national climate advisor is
I don't
leading
know.
our-
They didn't show the rest of the crowd because there is no crowd, and they don't want to show that he's got like those couple of senators and like the cameramen in the back are like, yeah, woo, yeah, okay.
Use the
climate efforts here at
use the
home.
laugh reel. Hurry up.
It's an honor to be joined by your neighbor from Rhode Island. He's not a bad guy at all. I live in his house, Sheldon Whitehouse, a great champion. A great champion.
He's a very bad guy.
Well, I
actually.
live
He's-
in his house. You freaking idiot.
That dude runs a all-white male country club where if you're black, you're not allowed. It's like they just do this shit.
Hey Phil,
And it's
how's
just
it
like,
going?
Oh man. Oh hey, yeah, what's up? Joe Potato Head. Yes. Yes.
Environment. He's been banging away at it. I come here today with a message.
Banging
As president,
away.
I have a responsibility.
What's that?
Banging away. Yeah, right. I don't know. I would choose a different terminology because that could mean several things, you know.
Oh, I'm sure.
Banging away at it.
I'm sure Joe Biden knows exactly what he's saying there. I mean,
He's
if Joe
like,
Biden knows
"Yeah."
anything, if he knows anything, it's about grooming and banging things. We'll put it
I
that
come
way.
here today with a message. As president, I have a responsibility to act with urgency and resolve when our nation faces clear and present danger.
From you? Oh, wait.
And that's what
A
climate
message,
change
send
is
me money.
about.
You want to send
It
money
is
somewhere?
literally,
You
not
can send it to
figuratively, a clear and present danger.
buymeacoffee.com/Koolfrogg.
The health of our citizens and our communities is literally at stake. The UN's leading international
he's talking
climate
about
scientists
potato here.
call the latest climate report nothing less than, quote, code red for humanity.
Code red, just like they paint the maps red everywhere in Europe and the United States. It's like, oh my god, it's like the heat wave, and like they
Yeah,
change
for
the colors
humanity.
every year. They like change the color scheme on the weather maps like every freaking year. It's just like, yeah. So like, oh, code red, right? Like red, right? Like, you know, trigger words for people.
Let me say it again. Code red for humanity. It's not a group of political officials, elected officials. These are the scientists.
Sentence for you. This
We
guy
see it
is
here in America.
full of shit. Joe Biden sucks. Oh.
I like this individual in chat.
I do.
In
He's
red
fun.
states and blue states. Extreme weather
Every
events
time he
cost
says something, I like it more and more.
$145 billion. $145 billion in damages just last year.
Yeah, from Koolfrogg lockdowns and from your horse shit that you're doing with cutting off our power and turning off the pipelines. Oh wait, no, he's not talking about that shit.
50? No. You do your math again because he was part of the Senate for how many years, and then he was vice president for 4, and then there's a couple more years in there, and then you actually get to now. It's been over 60 years of Joe Biden's bull snap. Go ahead.
Oh snap!
More powerful and destructive hurricanes and tornadoes. I've flown over the vast majority of them out west and down in Louisiana, all across America.
Wait, what the hell did he just say?
Flown over the vast majority of them out west and down.
The Mount West.
Of Mount West?
The Mount West.
Flown over the vast majority of them out west, majority of them out west and down, west and down, majority of them out west and majority of them out west, majority of them out west, majority of them
Okay,
out west
just so
and
we're
down in
clear.
Louisiana, all
Okay,
across
stop.
America. It's amazing to see. Ravaging 100-year-old droughts occurring every few years instead of every 100 years. Wildfires out west that have burned and destroyed more than 5 million acres.
You mean all those fires that were started by Antifa arsonists? There was like 60 of them, was it? Or was it 50 some?
Yes, those ones.
Yes. But that's all natural. That's all organic. This isn't Extinction Rebellion freakazoids doing shit. No.
Thing in its path. That is more land than the entire state of New Jersey from New York down down to the tip
Phil,
of
you talk
Delaware.
enough shit like
It's
that,
easy.
and you keep on getting your
5
message
million
blocked,
acres.
you become a
Our
moderator.
national security is at stake as well. Extreme weather is already damaging our military installations here in the States. And our economy is at risk. So we have to act.
Our economy is at risk. Really? Really? Pardon my pardon my phlegm there. Really? The economy is at risk, ladies and gentlemen. Which is why he wants everybody to not have any gas or any oil or have power plants burning on coal this instant. Which means shove you off a damn cliff. Economically.
There's a guy I follow on YouTube, and I forget his name, but he was talking about that. So there's that the Arab guy that they call him MBS. He's like the prince in Saudi Arabia, and they did like a fist bump, and the guy was explaining that if you do a fist bump to someone,
Mohammed bin Salman. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
that guy. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce the man's name, but
no, you're fine.
Oh,
but basically,
Koolfrogg, yeah.
it's kind of like
We know why.
saying we don't respect you. That we're fist bumping you in, and as we can see, he's kind of incoherent as he's speaking. And I think it was just last week he was in Israel and in the rest of the Mideast, and the people in the Mideast, they certainly see him, and so it's kind of like, what credibility are they going to give him when they interact with him? And that's just what I thought. I mean, it's really sad that someone that ages so much really shouldn't be president, but
Whoops. Accidentally hit the space bar.
Guys,
Okay.
I would love to stay for another hour, but I've got to think about getting some little bit of sleep. So thanks for having me on, and
Absolutely. Anytime.
I'll pick up the replay in the morning. Take care, guys.
All right. Sounds
Sweet.
good. Have a good one.
Later, there,
Bye-bye.
man. He's cool, dude.
I do. I like him. That's why I was like, yeah, he's fun to. No, he's fun to talk to. No.
Extreme weather disrupts supply chains, causing delays and shortages for consumers and businesses.
Oh, it's the weather that's causing the supply chain issues. It's not.
Phil's got a lot to say. Phil says Joe Biden first day signs an executive order to simply killing American oil and gas. What a motherfucker.
Indeed.
Indeed. Absolutely.
So again, Joe Biden's making it clear that any supply chain issues, not because he's signing executive orders and all of his globalist controller people like BlackRock and the rest of them and Vanguard and so forth, none of those people, Larry Fink isn't doing anything. John Kerry's advocacy for all this horse shit isn't doing anything. No. It is the weather that's doing it now. It's the weather, ladies and gentlemen.
Climate change is literally an existential threat to our nation and to the world.
I think that's you, actually.
So my message today is this. Since Congress is not acting as it should, and these guys here are, but we're not getting many Republican votes, this is an emergency. And I will look at it that way. I said last week, and I'll say it again loud and clear. As president, I'll use my executive powers to combat the climate crisis in the absence of congressional actions. Notwithstanding, there
are those the same words that you're going to use like you did back when you actually tried saying that GM was better than Tesla, and now they're actually going to go and move their manufacturing jobs down to Mexico? Is it those kind of words?
In the coming days, my administration will announce the executive actions we have developed to combat this emergency.
So there you go. In the coming days, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden is going to issue executive fiat orders to make sure that the United States is officially shoved off a damn cliff economically, to the point that you can't recover from it. But hey, that's the Great Reset, ladies and gentlemen. You will own nothing and they will be happy. That's what this is all about.
And so are you. You'll be ecstatic.
Joe Biden is a complete human feces. Are you
I gave Phil a wrench because he had so much that he was
feces.
saying that was being blocked. I didn't feel like I'm blocking everything that he said. So like when
We
you
need
say
to act.
when you say too many bad things about somebody, you hit a wrench.
I mean, Joe thinks he's going to get all of your money, but he's not going to have your money. No, they're going to get rid of him at some point. But he thinks so in the back of his head.
Some point sooner than we
that
think.
1/60th of a quarter of what that 1/60th of his brain that actually functions. He thinks that he's going to get some sort of payment for this, and he's going to live lavishly, and he's going to do whatever, and he's going to be a part of this Great Reset. He's not, and none of these bastards are, especially the dumb ones. A couple of them might be, but most of these people will be just thrown off the board because they're no longer needed.
IDCrisis.
Just take a look around. Right now, 100 million Americans are under heat alert. 100 million Americans.
Heat alert? When the hell have you
want
ever
to save
heard
the
in
planet
your
from
damn
CO2?
life?
Get this fool to shut the fuck up.
Great idea. I like it. I like it. Just a big old cork right there. Right there. There you go.
90 communities across America set records for high temperatures just this year, including here in New England as we speak. And by the way, records have been set in the Arctic and the Antarctic, temperatures that are just unbelievable, melting the permafrost. It's astounding the damage.
I wonder if it'll melt the permafrost in your brain.
Is being done. And this crisis impacts every aspect of our everyday life.
You should
That's
stay
why
outside
today I'm
more.
making the largest investment ever, $2.3 billion, to help communities across the country build infrastructure that's designed to withstand the full range of disasters we've been seeing up to today. Extreme heat, drought, flooding, hurricanes, tornadoes.
AKA, none of that's going to go to any infrastructure. It's going into the pockets of all these globalist hackies at local levels. This is another bullshit thing.
Right now, there are millions of people suffering from extreme heat at home. So my team is also working with the states to deploy $385 million right now. For the first time, states will be able to use federal funds to pay for air conditioners in homes, set up community cooling centers in schools where people can get through these extreme heat.
Okay. So this is important.
Yes, Phil. Yes. To answer your question. Go ahead.
This is important because this is what everybody in Europe is saying. And now he's saying it. And as I said last night, they are all globalists and they all have marching orders and they all have a script. And this is exactly what they're supposed to do. And so they are cutting off the oil from Russia and they're saying, oh, this winter, we're going to have to establish communal warming centers. You know, and since it's so hot here in the summertime, if we don't get enough power from Putin, we might have to get communal cooling centers set up by the government. Right? Right? So basically what this means is that you're not going to have, what he's telling you is, and this is what they're saying in Europe, you're not going to have power to power your home for your own air conditioner. So we're going to have to give local communities money from us, with strings attached, of course, to set up communal air conditioning centers to come inside and cool off for a little bit in the day. Because the power's not going to exist for you to run your own central air or even a freaking AC unit in your window. That's what he's telling you. That's exactly what this is for. Because this is exactly what they're telling you in Europe. Other people in Europe. That's what they're telling them. We're going to have to set up communal cooling and heating centers because we're not going to have power enough to do this. Because we're transitioning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a period of transition, right? And since we're transitioning, there might not be enough power to go around for a while. But that's why the government and the big corporations will be here to help you.
IDCrisis just shared a link, whatever, a funny image. There you go. That's the funny image. Plymouth Rock 1620 at sea level. Plymouth Rock 2022 at sea level. Yeah, global warming's
Yeah.
a thing.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, Plymouth Rock.
Yep, exactly. Go ahead. Hit play.
Hasn't gone under yet.
Crises, and I mean people.
I keep on telling you hit play because I watched this guy earlier today.
100 to 117 degrees. An infrastructure law that your members of Congress have delivered includes $3.1 billion to weatherize homes and make them more energy efficient, which will lower energy costs while keeping America cool in the summer and warm in the winter. And
just like the gas issue,
again,
because if you can't spend $5 on a gallon of gas, you should go spend $65,000 on an electric vehicle, and that will ease your stress of the gas.
Right. It's kind of like that.
Spending money in massive amounts to ease stress somewhere else is not easing the stress anywhere. It's bullshit.
Right. But again, this is what they're telling people in Europe as well, which is, we might have to help to fix your home, quote unquote, so that, because you're not going to have power to be able to heat your home or to be able to cool your home. And so we're going to have to do some sort of specialty stuff to your home in order for your home to even be livable, because you're not going to have heat or central air or air conditioning. No power. That's what this is telling you. And they're just prepping you for this. They're telling you it's good, it's okay, it's great. This is fantastic. They're not telling you to the extent like I'm telling you, and like some of the people in Europe are telling them. But that's what this means. That's what this means. They're going to have to refix and redo your home because you're not going to have power to be able to do anything to your home. Again, why are we fixing up people's homes like this? Why can't you just turn up the AC? Oh, because you're not going to have AC. You're going to have a community AC center. And then your home, we're going to have to refix and redo your home so that you're able to, survive summer and winter, you see.
Not using too much energy. And my department.
Yeah, not using too much energy. There it is, right? There it is.
Winter and not using too much energy.
Yeah, to be able to survive the summer of the winter without using too much energy. There it is, right there. Because you're not going to be using any energy. Because it's being cut off. Again, this guy is a literal EMP weapon. This guy, Congress and all these conservative people sit around and they talk about like, oh my God, an EMP weapon, it would turn off the power, it would shut off the power. And the nation's power and the nation's food and so forth would go down. And that's national security. That's a national security interest. This guy is literally shutting off the power. This guy is over top of the supply chain issues that are crippling us, that underneath of the Koof lockdown crap, that we've had all these supply chain issues. And now he's coming at you with all this horse shit, doing all of this. He's turned off the pipeline. He's turned off other pipelines. He's taken away oil drilling access. He's literally turning off our power. He wants us to transition to something that does not exist. So in essence, this man is a literal EMP weapon blowing up over top the United States and turning off all the power. And then telling you, it's okay. I love you. You're going to paint your house some wacky color, and that'll keep the heat away. That'll keep you warm in the wintertime. Or we might have to do community housing because we can't even trust your house. So we're going to have to move you into certain areas, into certain cities, and certain localities and so forth. And we're going to have to get you out from your homes. We're going to have to move you because you're not going to be able to survive by yourself, So we're going to have to do that. Again, he's literally turning off the power. He's turning off our own infrastructure. He is destroying our infrastructure and shoving us off a cliff. He is a threat to national security at this point. He has just announced that he's going to take executive actions to turn off the power grid, basically, and to stop all energy production. He sold all of our strategic oil reserves to our enemies. He is a literal national security threat. He needs to be impeached. Period. Operation Baked Potato. Remove him. Impeach him and impeach anyone else after him. Hell, impeach his whole damn administration. And you put into the Congress good Republicans. Again, primaries are still going on. Get involved. Wherever you are, get involved and get these people up through the primaries, good, solid, populist, conservative Republicans. And then we get ourselves a good Speaker of the House, impeach his ass, impeach Harris because she'll do the same damn thing. They're both working for the same people. And then we'll have the Speaker of the House take over for like a year and a half, 2 years until the next president comes in. This person right here, and of course it's his globalist overlords, but we have to take control of the situation because he's the puppet. We got to impeach him. That has to be the strategy, or they're going to get away with shoving us off a cliff. Then they'll take him out in some capacity. They'll take him out. They'll do the 25th Amendment or whatever, and then they'll try to lionize him, put Harris in, and that'll be so much worse off to try to get people like that impeached.
That's a bad decision. Do not allow that to happen. You got to impeach the whole freaking administration.
You got to do it now.
So we've kind of slipped back here for a second. So it says, Phil says Soros said starve the people, control the people, and Soros was owned by Chinese. When I put gas in my ID says when I put gas in my truck, I'm not going into debt. Yeah, I just filled up the van today. It was $75 freaking dollars to fill up a 16-gallon tank. Ridiculous. Biden and his demo commies are destroying all the money value of the American economy as fast as they can. Yeah, to put more money in his own back pocket. They're extracting all the saved up 401k and retirement money in accounts as fast as they can, destroying all the equity as fast as they can. Yeah, I can see that happen, and the only reason I can see that is because I watch my retired parents having issues. The value of the American dollar is being destroyed by what these Democrats are doing fast as they can. ID says, don't forget the insect burgers. Phil says the amazing supply chain destruction caused these Democrats is simply amazing. The bad thing is the cackler is in the power chain, but I would want Kamala the cackler rather than this shit stain. Yeah, neither one. She was worse off than he was. ID says, do it now before Civil War starts.
Yeah, and that's the other aspect of this is if this were to go to that kind of a level, that's exactly what these people want, because then they'll be like, oh, see, these people are domestic terrorists, and then they'll try to dissuade anybody
Welcome back,
from
private and public.
doing anything to, resist tyranny in some sort of way. And then they would just release the power of the government and just carpet bomb the place. And they would love nothing more than to carpet bomb conservative neighborhoods. I mean, hell, they were talking about it last year on national television.
See that big field behind them? That's pretty much what it's going to look like when they're done.
Yes, that's what they want. I mean, I just looked at a meme from some lefty who is there with depicting some conservative. It's like a drawing meme, so it's not like a computer generated one. It's like a drawing somebody made, and it's depicting this conservative with an AR-15 going like we need to stand up to the government. The government's got too tyrannical. Da 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 da. The government's this. The government's that. Like we need to do this. We need to do this now. And then the next, they did one clip of him doing that, like one frame of him doing that. The next frame of the cartoon is him going on and talking about this, and then the next frame of the cartoon is a Predator drone dropping a bomb, and boom, and he's gone. They would love the left in this country, libtards, they're tyrants. These people would love nothing more than to watch every conservative neighborhood get carpet bombed by the government. Now, they won't do that, but they'll sit back in their chairs and be like, oh, they deserved that. I mean, like they said that Joe Biden was trying to shove us off a cliff and stuff, and they tried to impeach it. Oh, man. But they failed at that, or they didn't, or they wanted that, but they didn't get it across. Thank God. Well, don't you know? Trying to stir things up. But really what it'll be is that they'll be coming after us. I mean, they're already coming after guns. They're already coming after everything else. They're going to be coming after us. And if anybody puts up any amount of resistance, they're going to say, oh, they're terrorists. And then they'll try to unleash the power of the government. Again, Adam Schiff, right? The thing that he was talking about with the bill that we were just bringing up, that that Congress will not have control. This is what they want passed in the bill. They haven't done it yet. They want Congress to not have any control over or any oversight over military actions on the civilian population. Period. They want no oversight of it. They want that removed from Congress's power. Why is that? Because they're coming after you next. That's later down the line. They would love nothing more than that. So absolutely IDCrisis, but we need to do this and we need to act now before they keep going with this shit and it gets to that point.
Click. Let's get through this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Department of Labor, led by a guy named Marty Walsh. He talks funny. He's a hell of a guy.
You're one to talk.
He's hell of a guy.
All kidding aside, Marty was a great mayor, and I know he knows how to get a job done.
For 60 million
and he's doing
abortions
two
and
things
teenage transitional
First of all,
surgeries.
Secretary of Labor, he's developing.
Oh yeah, that's
terrorists.
FEMA announces $2.3 billion for resilient infrastructure. Yeah, that's to go and refurbish your home.
Okay.
The first ever workplace standards for extreme heat.
So they can come into your home.
These conditions that hit this.
Find out exactly what you're doing.
You cannot ask people to do certain things. Second, he's sending folks out from the Labor Department to make sure we hold workplaces and to those standards that are being set. They've already completed over 500 heat-related inspections of workplaces across 43 states. And at the end of the day, it's going to save lives. Now, let me tell you why we're here at Brayton Point.
Well, before we get to that, why we're here, Phil has said something very good here. The wild thing these commie Democrats never expected is how wonderful the American spirit is to suffer and wait to bring justice to attack these people. The American people have had enough. It's coming. Yep.
The southern border bullshit is amazing.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. It's all fucked up.
100% agree with that. And we need to take up action now against Biden, against this whole damn administration, and impeach every damn one of them. And then on top of that, layered on top of that, we need to do like the Dutch are doing, not like the Sri Lankan people are doing. The Sri Lankan people, again, they waited too long to do anything. Now they're just like overthrowing everything, which is exactly what they want. Right? But they know that the American people, they know that there's a certain section of the American people that don't want to go along with all of this, and they know full well that that's the way that is. So they are prepping for some kind of a civil war or some sort of a civil, culling of their political opponents. Right?
IDCrisis says, remember the 8th of November.
Yeah. But we need to do like the Dutch are doing, and we need to stand up to these people.
Seems there's other countries that have actually done the same thing that the Dutch have actually done.
Now.
And there's more countries that are joining in that bullshit, and they're actually saying, no, we need to stop this government bullshit immediately.
Excuse me. Your perfect word is culling. Yeah, because that's what they want. And that's the difference between here and say Sri Lanka, is that in Sri Lanka, they got all the population to go off and do that kind of thing. Here, you would have to, what would have to happen is that not only would the population have to go crazy like that, but then they would declare their political opponents, aka the people with guns and weapons and know-how, and go after them. and take them out and then institute what they want. And that's why they want to take away the guns now. And then that way, whenever they come after you for your political ideology or your political affiliation, then they can easily arrest you and take you off to the camps, because that's what they want. This is nothing short of a culling that they want to happen. And so before we get to those
it's been
steps,
a long-term plan. Yep.
Yep.
Sure has.
And so before we get to any of those steps coming up of, this kind of collapse and then the unrest and then everybody like going after the government type thing, like Sri Lanka and going crazy and doing all this kind of crap. But then, our rights being taken away, our gun rights being taken away, all that kind of thing being taken away. Before we get down the road to any of this stuff and a potential civil war scenario where red states would say no to their bullshit at the end of it all and try to do their own thing. Oh, no, you can't do that. But then, we took away your guns. And so, you all are nothing. We'll just carpet bomb you terrorists and we'll take you to camps. Before we get to that,
hey, hold on.
We need to stand
Phil
up now.
says in Maryland, they're starting to count mail-in votes for 2 weeks after. Huh. The Democrats. Yeah. I tell you, I can't really read it straight out, because we're not contesting anything ever. Joe Biden is the most legitimate president with the most votes, period.
Ever. And yes, IDCrisis.
That's what it is.
ESG.
So ridiculous.
Yep, can't forget about that.
5 years ago, this towering power plant that once stood with cooling towers 500 feet high closed down. The coal plant at Brayton Point was the largest of its kind in New England. 1,500 megawatts of power, enough to power 1 in 5 Massachusetts homes and businesses. For over 50 years, this plant supported this region's economy through the electricity they supplied, the good jobs they provided, and the local taxes they paid. But the plant, like many others around the country, had another legacy, one of toxins, smog, greenhouse gas emissions, the kind of pollution that contributed to the climate emergency we now face today.
AKA bullshit. They started off being very dirty. Coal-powered things started off being very dirty, but as they've continued to use coal, it's become cleaner and cleaner and cleaner and cleaner and cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. So he's full of horse shit like usual.
Gina McCarthy, a former regulator in Massachusetts, was telling me on the way up how folks used to get a rag out and wipe the gunk off of their car's windshields in the morning just to be able to drive. Not very much unlike where I grew up in a place called Claymont, Delaware, which has a more oil
Where they disown you.
refineries than Houston, Texas had in its region just across the line in Pennsylvania. And all the prevailing...
Wait, what did he say?
Which has a more oil refineries than Houston, Texas had in its region just across the line in Pennsylvania. And all the
we've actually covered several of those rallies, and each and every single time I've gotten socked for election disinformation just because they're like, and I've won it each and every single time by simply saying that we know that Joe Biden is the most legitimate president with nobody actually watching him.
As long as you capitulate to the ruling power, YouTube will let your video go. I mean, that's where we're at here. Like, you can't even tell someone else on YouTube what somebody else is doing, and you don't even necessarily have to believe it yourself. You're just reporting on what somebody else said. But because you're even bringing that about to the attention of somebody else, you now are going to get suspended because, oh my God, you can't even talk about it. You can't even reference it. I mean, people can't even say how bad it is. Right? Like, people can't even independently go off and say, like, this is bad and this is wrong and this is what they're saying, and let me critique all this stuff of quote unquote election, whatever. They can't even do that because you're actually referencing stuff and pulling it up, and you can't even do that. So if you're a lefty and you want to sit there and critique every little thing that somebody's claims of the previous election cycle for president, and you want to
Hey,
critique all that,
Susie.
you can't even do that as a lefty if you even wanted to, because you're bringing up to the attention of people what somebody else wrote about it. You can't even do that. That's how totalitarian we're at right now. So this is why we're saying you need to stand up now and act now and do like the Dutch are doing now and do things like that and impeach his ass and get out and vote in primaries, get based populist Republicans, good, solid, populist, conservative Republicans into the seat of the Republican Party for your congressional
Exactly, Phil.
districts,
You
for the
can't say
Senate, for
anything
your state
about any of
legislatures.
that. Period. We'll just leave it straight out of our mouths. None of it will be. We can't even repeat your sentence.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't even say like, oh, well, this guy said, because, oh, you can't even bring it up. That's how totalitarian this is. This is Yahtzee level shit. And that's what they want 10 times more. So we have to stand up now. So anyways, let's
up the road. I just in an apartment complex when we moved to Delaware, and just up the road, a little school I went to, Holy Rose, and the other people I grew up have cancer. And
oh, here we go.
You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer.
What?
On your windshield wipers
the
to
oil
get
slick
literally
on
the
your
oil
windows
slick off the window.
Is
That's
what
why I and
gave
so
you.
damn many other people I grew up have cancer. Damn many other people I grew up have cancer. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer.
That's
so
the reason
damn
why
many
you
other
have
people I grew
cancer?
up have cancer.
So there's nothing else?
So
Is it just a skin cancer, or is you got something in your butt?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
When I say his butt, I mean his head.
well, it's not like he knows the difference, but you know, I mean, Joe Biden is a cancer.
Yeah. Did you see the story where Dems are spending primary money on MAGA candidates, thinking they would be able to beat them in November?
No.
Well,
see that.
I mean, we've seen something yesterday. We've kind of read out George Soros is backing Buttigieg in Texas to try taking care of Abbott.
Robert Francis O'Rourke III, you mean?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
the Irishman.
That guy. But yeah,
not the Hispanic.
There's so many stories that are out there right now that are just so interesting. There's so much to talk about, but we're gonna watch the rest of this. Hit that play button.
So, but just to recap,
Susie says we need to have we need to be able to have products that last a lot longer than now.
That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer.
So the president of the United States is now admitting to us in some damn press conference thing, announcing that he's going to order executive fiats here in the next week to shove us off a cliff economically. On top of all this horse shit that I just described to you a little bit earlier here, now he's telling you he has cancer.
Soros can do whatever he wants because he lives in the United States.
If it wasn't already bad enough, now we got this. Well, how far along is this cancer here, Joe?
Susie, I do recall the time when things lasted a long time. I was the last manager of a Radio Shack in my hometown. Go ahead.
I like Phil's names.
And why can't for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation. But that's the past, and we're gonna build.
But is your cancer the past? Do you have it? How's it going, Joe? What's happening?
From what I caught, the clarification on that was that he had at one point in time had skin cancer and it's been removed. So I don't know if he's still saying that he's got it and he's gone back into remission or
one
what.
with clean energy.
That would be a good
good-paying
way for them to
jobs.
actually just step
Just
away
15
from
years
the
ago,
job.
America generated more than half its electricity from coal-fired plants. Today, that's down to 20% because there's a big transition happening. Many of these fossil fuel plants
AKA
are
a
becoming
big
sites
cliff
for
to
new
shove you
clean
off
energy
of.
construction. Others are switching to new clean technologies.
To
Look at
drop
Brayton
off to
Point.
your death
Today, Brayton is
economically.
one of the frontiers, on the frontier of clean energy in America. On this site, they'll manufacture 248 miles of high-tech, heavy-duty cables. Those specialized subsea cables are necessary to tie offshore wind farms to the existing grid. Manufacturing these cables will mean good-paying jobs for 250 workers, as many workers as the old power plant had at its peak.
Hey, are you struggling to get into cybersecurity?
No, we're not. We're not struggling. Stop it. Oh, yes, we are.
What the hell?
Toasted puppet face plant. Yes, Phil, he is.
God, wouldn't you love to see Biden just like after he gets done with his speech, just like turn around and just like boom, hit his face like right there in the front. He just like turns around. He just like trips over his own feet or he does some stupid finagly shit. And he just like bang, right there, just like total face plant.
You know, and the thing is, Phil, is we look at like that line of succession. And you say we got Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, all in the power train, and you got number 4, Mr. Leahy. You know, yeah, and you're like, oh yeah, well, you know, he might be okay of a guy. No, he's not. He's not okay of a guy. He's just as corrupt and bad as these ones. So, I mean, it's not just the top 3 that need to be removed. It's the whole damn SWAT of all of them. Just remove everybody. All 553 members of Congress need to go. They're all trash.
Even if the president becomes the Speaker of the House, like I was talking about, and it's a conservative, good Republican after the other 2 are impeached, go ahead and impeach the rest of these bastards. Go ahead. I mean, they're all doing this. They're all complicit in this. I mean, again, as I've stated before here, we will have congressional hearings about EMP weapons because, oh my God, if they turn the power off, then we're not going to have any infrastructure. And without any infrastructure and power, this nation is going to die. Like all these people are going to go crazy, or some of them might even die within a couple of days because there's no food that'll come in. There's no power. There's no electric. And obviously then you won't have air conditioning or heating or anything like that. You won't have it. I mean, the whole thing, the whole grid's gone. The infrastructure's gone. Well, wait a minute. That's exactly what Joe Biden is doing. He's lighting off an EMP politically and economically and shoving us all off this cliff. And this isn't transitioning. This is shoving you off a cliff. I mean, that's what this is. This is grounds for impeachment, if nothing else. But of course, and again, of course, like the border thing, that is something that's going to collapse us economically and so forth. That can't continue to happen. That's a whole other thing that's involved in all of this as well. Go into that. Obviously, we're talking about this climate stuff and we're talking about the other different things here because of the speech that we're watching. But oh my God, yes, the border stuff, all of it.
IDCrisis. The Democrats spend over $1 million to boost Dan Cox, the Trump loyalist and 2020 election denier, who just won the GOP primary for Maryland governor. Go figure.
Oh, yes. I
That's
saw
funny.
that. That's right.
I love that film.
I forgot about that.
You know, I mean, you let in terrorists, the terrorists will run amok.
Oh, yeah.
Do I need to bring that back up?
Yeah.
The port here, 34 feet deep, was used to carry coal into the power plant. Now we're going to use that same port to carry components for wind power into the sea. The converter station here and the substation nearby are the assets that move energy across the power lines. They'll now move clean electricity.
Again, this is not going to be enough to power that area. That's why they're going to have a community air conditioning place and heating place. So as he's talking to you about this, again, keep the image in your mind that should be coming up is the reality of the situation. You'll have all of this bullshit power cables and all the rest of this coming in, and it won't be enough to power 1/4 of a city. Or maybe half. I mean, like, and then on top of that, oh, you want electric cars? Well, hell, it might not even be a quarter after that if everybody gets an electric car. Or if everybody is supposed to drive an electric car. Of course, electric cars are so damn expensive, and then you can't even run it, and then the inflation's going through the roof. And so guess what? With your dollars, you're not going to be able to buy it because of inflation. With the power grid going down all the time because it can't sustain itself, you're not going to be able to charge the car. So guess what? It's shoving you off a cliff. You're not even going to be able to have a damn car. You're going to be stuck wherever the hell they want you to be. That's basically what they're telling you.
Generated offshore by the wind. Enough power to power hundreds of thousands of homes onto the grid. Putting all assets to work, delivering clean energy.
No amount of
This
wind
didn't happen
power
by accident.
turbines will actually continue, will fix any of that. Period. You're not going to produce enough to power even a single city. Go ahead.
It happened because we believed and invested in America's innovation and ingenuity. One of the companies investing in the factory here joined me at the White House this month, Vineyard Winds, whose CEO told me about the groundbreaking project labor agreements they've negotiated would create good-paying union jobs. And I want
Did you see that people started clapping and he's like,
groundbreaking project labor agreements they've negotiated would create good-paying union jobs.
Oh, yeah, there's people here. Oh, shit.
And I want to compliment Congressman Bill Keating for his work in this area. I'm also proud to point out that my administration approved the first commercial project for offshore wind in America, which is being constructed by Vineyard Winds. Folks, elsewhere in the country, we are propelling retrofits and ensuring that even where fossil fuel plants retires, they still have a role in powering the future.
Yes, Susie.
In Illinois, for example, the state has launched a broad effort to invest in converting old power plants to solar farms, led by Governor Pritzker. In California, the IBEW member...
You know what? I have a better idea. Why don't we get Joe Biden... Why don't we trap the CO2 from Joe Biden's mouth, get all the hot air that's in him, as Susie says, and then we'll also get a methane-powered thing going with Eric Swalwell, because we all know how much methane he excretes from his bowels. So we'll just collect all of that and combine. That should probably be enough to transition, I think. I think we'll be good after that.
Turn a former oil plant into the world's largest battery storage facility, the world's largest facility. In Wyoming, innovators are chosen to a retiring plant as the next site for the next generation nuclear plant. And my administration is a partner in that progress, driving federal resources and funding to the communities that have powered this country for generations. And that's why they need to be taken care of as well. I want to thank Cecil Roberts, a friend and president of the United Mine Workers of America, and so many other labor leaders who work with on these initiatives. Since I took office, we've invested more than $4 billion in federal funding the 25 hardest hit coal communities in the country, from West Virginia to Kentucky to Wyoming to New Mexico.
Gee, where's that money? I haven't heard anybody from any one of those states.
I take it Phil
say,
really doesn't
thank you,
like
Joe.
this guy.
I haven't heard one of any of those people thank him for that.
The
From any of those
infrastructure
states, I haven't seen any statements like, "Oh, thank you, Joe. Oh, we love you, Joe. Oh, it's so fantastic." I haven't heard anything.
We're investing in clean hydrogen, nuclear, and carbon capture.
Oh,
the largest
hydrogen power. Oh, yes, that's the same thing Europe keeps talking about.
grid investment in American history. We've secured $16
Same
billion
thing,
to clean up abandoned mines and wells.
Uh-oh.
Susie says, cool, shirts. Who runs the wind company? A buddy of Joe or Hunter's?
Ha, ha, ha. It's a buddy of somebody. Because they wouldn't be giving money to it unless somebody that they know or somebody within their globalist agenda was going to get some kind of a kickback. I guarantee you that.
protecting.
Of course, I guess the kickback would be enough would be to take us all off of our land and get rid of all of our assets and crash the whole damn place so they can buy everything up and then own it all themselves.
Communities from
I guess that would be
toxins
enough
and
to do that,
waste,
so maybe not, but
particularly
hey.
methane. And we still.
Oh, what about methane there? What about
toxins and waste, particularly methane, in American history. We've secured $16 billion to clean up abandoned mines and wells, protecting thousands of communities from toxins and waste, particularly methane.
Is that the reason? Is Eric Swalwell's lower tract of his bowels like an abandoned mine, like excreting? I don't know.
And we still, and we're
anyway.
going to seal leaking methane pollution, an incredibly powerful greenhouse gas that's 40 times more dangerous to the environment than carbon.
You hear that, Eric Swell, as well? Stop bitching about the cows. You've got something else to worry about for yourself there. Government will come
Phil,
after you.
exactly. $1 trillion in debt.
And folks,
$10 trillion
with American leadership
to the debt.
Back on climate, I was able to
not enough.
Bring
they
more,
need to spend more
world leaders together.
Right. We've only been there for 18
months. We got 100
months.
nations together to agree that the major conference in Glasgow, England, to Scotland, to change the emissions policies we have. We've made real progress, but there's an enormous task ahead. We have to keep retaining and recruiting building trades and union electricians for jobs in wind, solar, hydrogen, and nuclear, creating even more and better jobs. We have to revitalize communities, especially those fence line communities that are smothered by the legacy of pollution. We have to outcompete China and in the world and make these technologies here in the United States, not have to import them.
Of course, we all know he's not serious about outcompeting China. I hope we're all very clear on that. He's not
Folks,
serious enough.
when I think about climate change, and I've been saying this for 3 years, I think jobs. Climate change, I think jobs. Almost 100 wind turbines.
You mean all the jobs that people won't have?
Phil says cow farts. ID says, how can leftists simultaneously be against eating meat and leaving all those cows alive to create gas? Exactly. They're nothing but the straight up hypocrites and all things.
Again, they just do whatever the hell their globalist masters tell them. Their globalist masters are like,
meat
is bad. If you want to be a good environmental freakazoid, then you need to go off and say, we need to get rid of the cows. Yeah, get rid of the cows, get rid of the cows. Yeah. It's like, but then also you need to be vegan and don't eat cows and don't kill nature. Yeah, don't kill nature. Don't eat the cows. What?
Can you call this dumb fuckery on his part? Yes, you can. I give you total permission to call what is going on dumb fuckery.
Sorry, just had to let it out. Oh no, we completely understand.
It's going up off the coast of Massachusetts, Rhode Island, with ground broken and work underway.
Rhode Island.
Jobs manufacturing 2,500 ton steel foundations that anchor these offshore wind farms to the sea floor. Jobs manufacturing a Jones Act vessel in Texas to service these offshore wind farms. We're going to make sure that the ocean is open for the clean energy of our future, and everything we can do
clean energy.
Give a green light to wind power on the Atlantic coast,
helicopter
where my
out there
predecessors'
to
actions
them
only created confusion.
And
today, we began the process
on a regular basis
to develop wind power in the Gulf of Mexico as well for the first time. A real opportunity to power millions of additional homes from wind. Let's clear the way. Let's clear the way for clean energy and connect these projects to the grid. I've directed my administration to clear every federal hurdle and streamline federal permitting.
These batteries that are in these cars are not small. They're very large.
Right
and
now and right away. And some of you have already come up and talked to me about
it. They'll get dumped into a landfill.
And while so many governors and mayors have been strong partners in this fight to tackle climate change,
you're going to cost so much. You're not even going to have your car paid off in time before you have to replace that battery. That's going to increase the cost of your car by the time you go and replace it in 5 to 8 years. So you best have a good job to pay off that $64,000 car, like as fast as you possibly can. Because the second that battery goes, they're just going to say, oh well, here we'll just put it on top of your car payments, and here's another $10,000 battery for you. It's not going to be something cheap. It's going to be very expensive. When you change them, they've built them into the frame of the car. Yeah, exactly. The whole bottom side of that frame is all one big, huge, massive battery.
Yeah, and those things are very
Jeep that started at 90,
very dangerous.
A Jeep that 90 grand. Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, we'll just build more and more different electric vehicles because they get kickbacks when they actually build electric vehicles as opposed to building gas powered cars, because
Right.
Eventually this whatever 2030 thing is going to come up here, whatever, and they're going to be like, yep, we want to make sure everybody's all switched over to super expensive cars, and they're going to jack the prices up to the point where people that still couldn't afford the car and they're still driving around in their old gas guzzler or whatever, they're going to have issues. They're going to make it seem like it's so much more worthwhile to go buy that EV car. And there's so many people that are so freaking stupid to the point. It's just ridiculous. Go ahead, hit play. You can tell he's pissing me off.
We need public utility commissioners and state agency heads. We need electric utility developers to stand up and be part of the solution. Don't be a roadblock. You all have a duty right now to our economy, to our competitiveness in the world, to the young people in this nation, and to future generations. That sounds like hyperbole, but it's not. It's real. To act boldly on climate. And so does Congress, which, notwithstanding the leadership of the men and women that are here today, has failed in its duty. Not a single Republican in Congress stepped up to support my climate plan. Not one. So let me be clear. Climate change is an emergency. And in the coming weeks, I'm going to use the power I have as president to turn these words into formal, official government actions through the appropriate proclamations, executive orders.
And everybody in this country, every single attorney general, and I can probably give you a list of them that will do this, take his ass to court.
And regulatory power that a president possesses.
You do not possess any such power, and your masters know this.
When it comes to fighting for climate change, I will not take no for an answer. I will do everything.
Wait, could you say that again with a little more passion in your voice?
Climate change.
Exactly, Susie. They're the same.
I will not take
that were
no for an answer.
Like I said, I was the last manager of my local Radio Shack, or of my hometown, and I've had plenty of people bring their phones and be like, "My phone's not working properly. Can you fix it for me?" And you'd take it and you'd pop the back off, and you'd see that the battery was fatter than crap. And if you actually just left it, you'd watch it and continue to expand. Eventually, it would get to the point of expansion where it would actually explode if you didn't know what the hell you were doing. We would immediately take those and would take, because there's nothing else that you could do, because it would explode if we would stick it in a bag and leave it in the store. So we wouldn't leave it in the store. We'd go and take it into the dumpster, immediately dump it. So that if something happened, it was inside this dumpsters. And we've heard plenty of things that sounded like something, eventually would explode or whatever. And you go look and you'd be like, oh, yep, the battery exploded finally. It's just like, you knew that battery was going to go to a landfill, and it was going to actually contaminate the landfills and with the, with the mercury that's in there or whatever. So it's just not a good deal. Batteries are not a good deal, no matter doesn't matter what they're in, period. Not good. You always have to recharge them. Every single time that they would deplete, you recharge them, the life expectancy of the battery would go down. So now imagine being one of these people that are in one of these big cities and they're driving around in this expensive $65,000 car, and they're unable to pay off the $65,000 by the time the 5 to 8 years rolls around, that battery needs to replace. You're not going to be able to afford it. Chinese batteries. Yeah, exactly. There's other countries that actually do produce lithium, have lithium mines. It's not just China that has them, but it seems like China has
One of the places that has
stake in
large
it.
swaths of lithium is Afghanistan.
Oh,
And
that place.
looky what happened there. Huh.
I will do
Oh, yeah,
everything in
people
my
can be
power
with their cars.
clean our air
They're
and
gonna go
water,
plug it in. They're gonna
protect
forgot
our people's
that they
health,
plugged it in.
to win the clean energy future.
Oh God, yeah.
You know, there's going to be so many stupid things to go along with these EV cars. It's just not a
Right.
good deal.
And they don't care. And that's the whole
No.
point. Like, it's just shoving you off a cliff.
Again,
That's the
sounds like
whole
a
damn
cover with
point.
our children and grandchildren.
It's on purpose.
Counting on us. Not a joke. Not a joke. If we don't keep it below 1.5 degrees centigrade, we lose it all. We don't get to turn it around. And the world is counting on us. This is the United States of America. When we put our heart
It is? Oh, yeah, that's
and
right. I
minds
forgot.
to it, there's not a single
Listen, I'd
thing
give
beyond our capacity. I
Afghanistan
mean
to China. Who paid them to do it? I wouldn't doubt it, because you know,
I mean, I think that's pretty
China's
obvious at this
not
point.
our enemy, according to Joe Biden.
Even though he just said we have to outcompete them, he's not serious about that. Because he just gave them an entire giant country full of lithium mines that then he's going to take our country and turn it into a lithium relier. And then, we'll be fully reliant upon China for every aspect of our power. But what the hell? I'm sure that's just business, folks. You know,
when we act together.
just normal.
And of all things we should be acting together on.
Again, impeach
Nothing to see here.
his ass. Impeach him. And everybody else underneath
The
him.
only person that's already that has anything to do with the impeachment right now
And
is,
by the
is
way,
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
my dear mother, God rest her
Everybody
soul,
else
used to
needs
say,
to stop
Joey,
and
and everything
actually
bad, something good will come if you look hard.
Oh yeah. She was the first one. Like first day he was there, she threw her articles in.
Yep, first freaking day.
They need to keep doing this. Everybody needs to push for this. Matt Gaetz, Thomas Massey, Lauren Boebert, all these awesome people that are there. The guy from Utah that was former NFL guy. Every one of them needs to push for impeachment now.
Enough.
Now.
Look what's happening.
Not later. Now. He is this week telling you he's going to have these executive fiat things he wants to do. He needs to be taken to court over this, and then he needs to be impeached for this and everything else we just described. Now.
We're going to be able to create as
and every one
many
of
or
us
more
needs to stand
good
up
paying
against
jobs.
all of him.
We're going to
all
make
of this stuff for
environments
people
where people
now,
live
like
safer.
the Dutch are doing.
We're going to make the air safer. I really mean it. We have an opportunity here. I'll bet you when you see what's happened here in this cable construction here, manufacturing, and you go back and ask all the people who grew up in this beautiful place what they'd rather have. They want the plant back with everything it had, or what you're going to have.
Turns around and looks at the waste that's sitting there and says, "Look at this beautiful place."
I will be dumbfounded if you find anybody other than for pure sentiment. Dumbfounded if you.
Wait.
I'm dumbfounded.
They want the plant back with everything it had, or what you're going to have. I will be dumbfounded if you find anybody other than for pure sentimental reasons saying, I'd rather have a coal plant. I'll end by telling you another quick story. When we moved from Scranton, when coal died in Scranton, everything died in Scranton. And
hits the mic. Let's
died in Scranton. Everything died from Scranton. When coal died in Scranton, everything died. When coal died in Scranton, everything died. And my dad wasn't a coal miner. My in Scranton, and everything died in Scranton. Everything died in Scranton. Everything died. Everything died. Everything died. Everything died in Scranton. Stop it. And my dad wasn't a coal miner. My
I'm going to see if I can't give Koolfrogg a headache tonight.
But my dad was in sales, and there was no work. So
I mean, I'm not the one who's hitting the microphone, Koolfrogg. I mean,
but you're the one that's making him do it over and over and over again. I'm going to blame you, AmericaShirts.
It's like I'm his marionette puppeteer, and I'm just like making him hit the microphone.
Have to go down to Delaware.
He,
I told
you know, nothing
oil
is
plants.
anybody else already.
But
He doesn't
I
need
remember
a person pulling his strings.
driving home when you take the trolley in Scranton, going out North Washington and Adams Avenues, Within 15 blocks, we didn't live in the neighborhood, the most prestigious neighborhood in the region, in the town where the Scrantons and other good, decent people live.
Yep, communist China does.
There was you'd go by a wall that my recollection was somewhere between 15 and 18 feet tall. And it went for essentially a city block. And you could see the coal piled up to the very top of the wall from inside. It was a coal-fired plant. A coal-fired plant. And all of the negative impacts of breathing that coal, the dust, were affecting everybody. But at the time, people didn't know it, and there wasn't any alternative. Folks, we have no excuse now. We know it. There are answers for it. We can make.
And you're full of horseshit.
Taking off your glasses doesn't make it all that much better,
right?
Dumbass. Because we can't see your eyes anyway, as you squint because you no longer have your glasses on.
Right.
Idiot.
This is
exactly, Susie. No more storytelling from Joel.
Are you sure?
He's trying to give us nightmares.
Are you sure? Because I got something else here.
Well,
I think we watched this at one point.
So you see, hold on. So you see, Susie says that they need coal to make steel for us, Phil. They also need oil fields to produce such things as plastics and polycarbonates, as well as there's so many other combination of materials that are used to create the wind turbines and the solar power plants. You seriously can't just sit there and be so ignorant to the point to think that, wind power and solar power is just the best thing for us, when you don't realize what this stuff is actually made from. These fossil fuels still exist in those materials that we're using to produce clean energy, as well as once you get these turbines up, you need to actually continue to oil them to keep them running. The second that one of them gets dinged in, from a bird, whatever, and they're no longer good, they must replace it immediately. Taking that turbine and throwing it into the ground, into those, into the mine, or into, I can't even think, into the fields, just to,
into
the ground. It's so freaking stupid. It's just not clean energy. None of it. For them to actually sit there and continue to spew their idiocy that this is clean energy is the dumbest thing I've ever fucking heard. Go ahead. Did you have something else? Oh, you have another video for us?
Oh yeah. It's another. It's Joe Biden giving another speech.
This one. I've seen this one.
Repeat last line. Let's see here. I'm gonna get rid of this son of a bitch once and for all. Little tiny short shorts, Tinkleberry smarts. Have it, Oh, hell no! Apple eat the dog. The carpet stinks. Nancy, what are you doing? Get out of here, Kamala. This don't concern you. Kamala is the president of the United States. Stop it, Kamala. I'm gonna be president. No, I'm gonna be president. Give me that keyboard. Get off of me. I'm just kidding. Nancy's gonna be president. No, I'm gonna be president. No, I'm gonna be president. Joe's done. Joe's done. Kamala is the president of the United States. Repeat. I said Nancy Pelosi is the president of the president. Snarfle, flarfle, whippy wappy. I'm just kidding. Nancy's gonna be president. No, I'm gonna be president. Obama's the president. Too easy. I'm his bitch. I do whatever he says, and my son stays out of prison. Obama out, bitches.
I'm still trying to reach out to that particular person that's creating those videos. I really want to get a hold of them and see if we can't hold a little
It's
interview
so
with them.
fantastic.
Because
And then,
their stuff is so great.
then,
You should check out the United Spot. That is the United Spot.
and then there was this.
Is this today's? Yeah.
All right, people, here's the deal. America has the highest inflation, the highest grocery prices, the highest gas prices, the highest president's son. Record-breaking crime, record-breaking border crossing, but that's not what's most important, all right? What's most important is banning all assault weapons and making sure all Americans have an electric vehicle. Because climate change is what's next. Because there's no such thing as government funded. That's what taxpayers are for. Now, you'll all excuse me. I need to go get some chemo. Release the 25th Amendment. Your son, Joe. Wait, what?
Oh my.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Yes, Susie. It's a service engine soon light. YouTube strike? No. There's no strike.
Release the 25th Amendment. Your son, Joe.
All right. Have a good one, Phil, if I'm catching that right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see you, Phil. If you're going there, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Great.
Yeah, your stuff was fun. I did make you a mod on purpose because there's so many things that YouTube is blocking. Susie, I lost it for a second. I'm back now. Let's see. There's so many different things different directions that we could go with this right now. Let's do this one because no. What? Oh, there must be some. They must have taken it off of the. YouTube must have shut down for a second.
Oh. Huh? Wait.
Apparently, the United Spot took down one of the videos or something or other. They're like, "Oh, YouTube's back." They didn't like our content, didn't like his content going up or whatever, which is strange because this content's already on YouTube. We're playing YouTube videos. I've reached out to the person several times, explaining I want to do an interview because I love the content. What's up, Bearded Apostle? There must have been. He's come help us stream right into expert. We're all gonna say hi and then bye. Well, I'm doing my own thing, man. It's like nobody cares about Koolfrogg and what he wants to do. Fuck me.
Wait, so what happened?
Oh, he just sent me a couple messages. He DM'd me. He's like, "Come help us stream raid the expert." It's like, well, I'm running the show. That's what was gonna be funny. Join them, say hi, and then bail.
Just like everybody, as many as possible, just join into his stream and then just bail at once.
Right.
Just like this influx of people, and then they all just leave.
We'll get into some Hunter Biden stuff when we come back from this little raid thing.
Oh God. Oh, Phil is still here.
Yeah, I thought that he was saying that he was leaving, but I'm assuming that
I thought so too.
He thought that we were going away because of the YouTube going down for the moment or whatever.
Oh, I was trying to play that back. I didn't see anything go down.
Here you go, AmericaShirts. I'll throw the link to you so that you can join us. Oh.
Yeah, I don't see anything where it went down. I don't know. Maybe it glitched for somebody else.
What's going on, Apostle? He's like, join, hurry up, join.
Oh, you want me there now? Are they doing it now?
Yep, they're doing it right now.
Oh, okay. Up to 10 people can join stream. Okay, I'm in the back. I'm in the back. Oh no. Oh no. We're privately stream rating expert.
Hey.
Hey.
Oh, what's up, Robyn? He's gonna run out of space. Hi. Beep beep. Beep beep. Beep 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 beep. That's funny, Apostle. Thanks for the good time. What? Why is my thing not going away?
I have it up on the screen sharing.
I wasn't here to actually do it, so we all jumped in and we all jumped back out.
It's a two-word. Oh my God.
Hey, Medic, how's it going? And then I clicked the wrong button, so when I went away, he brought me back in. And that's funny. He's blaming Madcore, apparently. I'm gonna go back to show. Hey, Medic Mitchell, how's it going? Oh, that was good stuff. It made me lose my breath there for a second because I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Why did I go back in there? I'm like, oh, I hit the wrong button. I thought I removed myself, but apparently I didn't.
They're skilled.
What's up, Killshot? Okay, let's see here. Next thing. Look at that. Look at that. Blow up. Hunter Biden and sister-in-law turned lover Haley had fight over a drug box in Iraq hidden behind Bo's photo. Ah, really? Says Hunter Biden and his sister-in-law turned lover Haley into a blazing fight over a crack rock found hidden in the picture. Joe Biden's son, 52, lashed out at Haley, 47, after claiming that he had discovered designer Hermes box containing what appears to be drug paraphernalia and hard drugs in their home in Wilmington. Look at that. Nice paraphernalia case. Good thing they argued about it. They probably slept with each other a minute after. Hunter sent school guidance counselor Haley a picture of the drugs in box, a photo of which was obtained exclusively by the son, over and over again as he told her, "You just killed the last piece of me." Haley admitted the box was hers, but fired back by claiming the drugs were Hunter's. She wrote, "You have lost your mind. You really think that that is not yours? The Rock? F you, Hunter, and get out of my effing life." I'm not going to swear because I don't need to. The fight of the November 2000 as Hunter's relationship with his late brother Bo's widow was falling apart. The pair had gotten together after Bo's death and the brain cancer, aged just 46 in 2015, and Hunter's separation to his wife Kathleen Buell 5 months later. But after the romance soured as Hunter's addiction of crack and penchant for call girls spiraled out of control. Haley begged Hunter to get sober, as he claimed she herself had done, but she was unable to beat the demons, and the messages between the couple became increasingly toxic. Tensions reached a boiling point when Haley took a .38 caliber revolver from Hunter's truck in Wilmington and threw it in the trash can behind a grocery store. Oh, that's a smart way to take care of it. Freaking idiot. When she returned to retrieve the handgun, which Hunter had lied about his drug addiction to purchase 2 weeks earlier, Haley found it was gone. Later, there were claims.
Phil, I would loosely call these people a couple because you're right. Like, yeah, right. This article's like the couple. It's like, I don't know if I'd really call them a unit, if you know what I mean. But anywho's.
What is the regular setting for video? What is the regular setting for video setting on Twitch? I have no idea. I have no clue, Susie. I don't know what to.
Yeah, I don't know.
How to answer that. I'm so sorry.
Phil, keeping it in the family.
Let's see here. 2 weeks after the gun incident, Hunter texted Haley the pic of which appears to be a huge crack cocaine rock on top of the Hermes box. The pic and text message were found in a bombshell Apple iPhone backup phone in Hunter's infamous laptop from hell. They were handed to the son by
the laptop from hell.
They were handed to the Sun by Marco Polo, the organization led by former Trump White House staffer.
Trumpo.
I said Trumper, but yeah, Trump. Even better. Former Trump White House staffer, which is investigating the laptop. In his text, Hunter appears to claim that the box was found under Haley's bed and the crack rock was behind a picture of himself.
Oh, my.
His grandmother, Jean Biden, Joe's late mother, who the family referred to as Mum, and his brother, Bo. Hunter was threatened to show Haley's then 14-year-old daughter, Natalie, what he had found. Yeah, I don't think they just look so innocent together. They both look like they're freaking messed up.
And by the way, something else that I noticed today was that Hunter Biden sounds different when he's giving speeches than he does in the cell phone. Like his vocal intonation and everything is completely different. Like 180. There's not even any similarity. Like, he sounds like his dad at a younger age when he's talking to people in the media or giving a interview or something else like that. But then when he's on his cell phone and he's talking about stuff, he sounds completely different. Like a different person is talking almost. I mean, it's the same voice, but it's like a different, totally different vocal intonation, totally different resonance in like the nasal cavity and everything. Like, it's completely different. He's a total fraud on the public stage. So
I don't know what Div Inity's getting at. She said kinky. She must have liked us coming in and going back out. It's the only thing I can think of.
Oh dear.
A lot, right? Alongside the picture, he wrote, "From beneath your mattress and behind the picture of Mum and Bo. Should I put them back and bring Natalie to see first, Haley? You're cruel, but you're also insanely myopic. Don't tell me I put this between your mattress and put this on the shelf. I will ruin you if you do. Are you trying to set me up? F you. I'm sober. Get the F out of my house forever, Hunter. But out before I get home and take your effing shit with you." She later added, "That box looks old and forgotten, but that rock is not mine sitting in the bedroom." Hunter
PRD,
replied,
"Yep, you're right." And then Phil, "Yep, you're right." In chat.
She later added, "That box looks old and forgotten, but the rock is not mine sitting in my bedroom." Hunter replied, "If you want it back, I'll leave it for you, but please know this could kill me." "It wasn't in the bedroom, Haley. I want to take the picture of Mum and Bo, and it was sitting behind it." Haley then told Hunter, "I've never gotten a rock. That rock is yours, asshole. Yes, the box is old." I mean, obviously she was keeping it on for some kind of reason. If you're actually trying to become clean, that's one of the first things you remove. And the box is mine, forgotten about. I'm sure we'll find your shit years after if you ever stop. And again, there they are again, looking all so happy together in front of the big, huge tree. Is that the one that was lit on fire? That'd be funny.
No, that's the normal one in Times Square, I think.
That'd be so funny. Look at how long this article is. Holy shit.
I think we get the picture then.
Yeah, I think we get some pretty much what's going on is, they're pointing fingers at each other and say, "Oh, look, you have a drug problem. Oh, no, look, you have a drug problem. Oh,
You have a drug problem. No, you have a drug problem. You have a drug. No. You have a drug problem."
Exactly, Phil. Let's just blame Joe Biden. It's all Joe Biden's fault. If he would have just wrapped it up and not have his kids, none of this would have come. Yes, I used that word on purpose. I don't know where to go with this anymore. Oh, here, this one. I thought this was interesting. Look at that. The National Pulse. Receipts. Bill Gates Foundation just paid the Chinese Communist Party to recruit foreign scientists. Oh, you don't say. One solved mystery. What's up, man? It isn't a tree on fire. It's a dumpster fire. What do you got here? Got something fun?
This is Matt Gaetz talking about if Democrats are really worried about illegal guns, maybe I suggest Hunter Biden.
So if Democrats are really worried about illegal guns, I would suggest maybe they could start with Hunter Biden. And I would seek unanimous consent to enter into the record an article from Outkick.com really just posted. It says, "Naked bad boy Hunter Biden shows off illegal gun in the latest leaked video."
So yeah, we're all concerned about illegal guns, you know. Oh my God, red flag laws. Can we take all of their guns? Oh wait, no. It's just like that. What's his face? The absolute like creature from the Black Lagoon level creepy. The hell's this actor's name that people have been talking about? It's like from the DC universe, whatever the hell, the Warner Brothers. God, can't even remember his name now. Ezra Smith, or is it Smith? No, Ezra. Ezra
I have
something.
no clue what you're talking about.
He's some actor that everybody's accusing of being a groomer, which there's ample evidence of him being a total groomer and like stuff in his basement and like all the rest of this creepy shit. And his whole house is full of guns. And so all these elite libtard people can groom children and stuff their house
Ezra
full of guns.
Miller?
But yes, Ezra Miller.
Okay.
But you can't own any firearms, but the elite can have as many as they want. That's how this works.
You know what the interesting thing is you go to Google, you put in grooming Ezra, and it comes up with Miller. That wasn't very hard to find.
No. No, it shouldn't be. It's pretty obvious to anybody. I mean, all you have to do is spend like 10 minutes looking at it, and you're like, "Oh God, I don't even need to look at this anymore." Like, he's guilty as sin. Throw him in prison for the rest of his life. Yes, we don't like fences, but we'll put one around the Capitol for months on it. Yes.
Yes.
And we'll militarize it even more than we did freaking Baghdad in freaking Desert Storm. But what the hell? It's just in your face.
There's so much effing news out there. It's ridiculous. You can almost go anywhere that you want and find some kind of news that's ridiculous, that's funny as can be, that's just like, what the fuck are they even thinking? Like, here, this one. Look, it's official. The radicals have changed the dictionary definition of what it is to be a female. Merriam-Webster's has updated its records to reflect the newly approved Orwellian progressive terminology for defining a woman actually is. Thanks to Merriam-Webster, Ketanji Jackson doesn't have to worry about not being a biologist. According to Merriam-Webster, the term female now describes anyone who has a gender identity that is opposite of male. Conversely, the word male has updated to include those having a gender identity that is opposite of female. Watch, they'll go and they'll strike my one little freaking 1,000 view clip that I have out there that I made all the way back when she first said that she isn't a biologist, and threw up the definition from Merriam-Webster and said, "Oh, you didn't leave up the full thing." Yeah, well, I did at the time. F off. Because, we still understand that XX chromosome, no tallywhacker, is a female. F off. It's like, you got, there it is, having a gender identity that is opposite of a male. Oh, it just makes your freaking head hurt how stupid they can be and how they can convince places like Merriam-Webster to go and change the definition of what it is to be a female.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Killshot. What's up, man? Or girl?
Woman.
Oh man, I
mean, because
according to the Merriam-Webster, we can call anybody whatever we want. Now.
Well, true. That's right. We just redefined it. Sorry, Killed. Sorry. Sorry.
So freaking dumb.
So I have something here, and this is something that Glenn Beck has been talking about for a while. And there's been times when I've agreed, there's been times when I've disagreed, but he keeps making the case for this theory about Hunter Biden, because you have to ask the question, why is Hunter
Glenn
Biden...
Beck. You can't play Glenn Beck. You know better than that.
Well, he's on YouTube.
It doesn't matter that he's on YouTube. They don't like him. It's like, yeah, I don't. Maybe you can. I don't know. Go ahead.
I mean, if you don't want to, I mean, but
Whatever. Do it.
do it.
We're past the 2-hour mark.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
We'll see.
But he makes the case, and he's been making this case ever since the Hunter Biden laptop came out. He says, "Why is Hunter Biden?" And he puts it up here. It's just the evidence keeps gushing out of the Hunter out from the laptop that Joe Biden lied when he said he knows nothing about his son's overseas business dealings. The latest example of this voicemail. But why did Hunter keep all this evidence? And that's the thing. It's like he keeps making the case. It's like, why did Hunter keep all of this evidence stocked up on his computers and stuff? Now, granted, there was a lot of bullcrap from his own personal life on there as well. But it's like, why does he have all of this stuff like this? Why does he have all of these documents?
Susie's all, my daughter kept me on the phone for hours, missed a bunch of shows. Hopefully it was a wonderful conversation. Having conversations with your children are always the best. You can always go back and you can rewatch our show. I totally take the click.
Yeah, 100%. But he keeps making the case that perhaps Hunter Biden, through his, recording his own pornography type stuff, was also trying to document evidence against his dad to eventually, at some point, somehow, some way, get back at him for the abuse that he had done to him as a kid. That's his theory. And it almost makes sense when he presents it really well. I've listened to him talk about this ever since the laptop came out. He presents this really well. And so this is just 1 minute and 53 seconds of this clip. And this is, of course, the Glenn Beck program that he does on his own streaming service, Blaze TV, which is a subscription service. And I happen to think that he does a pretty good job. So let's watch this little bit here. And he talks about
Hunter's laptop is just like the Mississippi River, just gushing out evidence that Joe Biden has been lying about this to you for years.
Like the Mississippi River.
The latest example is this voicemail.
Tributary.
Hey, pals, Dad, it's 8:15.
Most of the United States.
The latest example is this voicemail.
Hey, pals, Dad, it's 8:15. On Wednesday night, if you get a chance, give me a call. Nothing urgent. Just want to talk to you. I thought the article, at least the thing online, it's going to be printed tomorrow in the Times, was good. I think it's clear.
Now again, why would someone save that voicemail? What does he think Hunter is clear of exactly? The article Joe is referring to is this December 2018, the New York Times story about the beginning of the business relationships formed between Hunter Biden and then the head of CEFC, China Energy. Joe left that voicemail 4 months before declaring his run for president. And just a week after those text exchanges that I showed you earlier, where Joe wired Hunter $75,000 to help him pay his bills. Of course he knew about Hunter's business life. Again, why would the son keep that incriminating evidence of his father saying that? Why would you pull that off your voicemail and burn it to your hard disk? Why would you do that? Again, I think this president is compromised. Foreign, domestic, maybe his own family. But we have a lot of questions that have to be answered.
And I think that's such an interesting theory because it's like, I mean, Hunter is the bag man here for everything for Joe Biden, the big guy, right? Like we've all done this, Peter Schweizer's book, Biden crime family, all the rest of that. And this is such an interesting perspective because Hunter Biden, you could say, would have never had the life that he had he had been raised by someone else. And of course, you see the Ashley Biden diary come out and talk about showers with dad and, doing things like this sexually inappropriate stuff. And that's how she feels like that was the origin of her sexual perverted stuff going on in her head as a result of her father's own grooming of her. And then, of course, her drug addiction as well. Trying to get over all of that or like move past it, or maybe not think about it as much, or whatever. And you might say possibly similar things happened to Hunter when he was growing up. And perhaps that, again, it's like this kind of thing. He's like, why would you record that kind of a message? Like, this is incriminating against your dad. Like, why are you recording that and then burning it to your hard drive on your laptop? And the thing that he's coming up with is, Glenn Beck's coming up with is, and other people have been talking about this too, but not very many people. Glenn Beck's probably the biggest voice on this theory. He's like, well, he wants to get back at him. He has all this compromising evidence on him, and he knows that he's compromised. He leaves the laptop with some computer guy or whatever, and here's all this evidence. And sure, he has his own porn stuff recorded on it, but his hate for his dad even trumps his thinking about that. And he's in this drug-induced tizzy, and he just throws it at the computer guy and leaves it there, knowing that it'll end up being his property, and then he's just going to go crazy with it. That's one aspect of this. Now, the other aspect of this is maybe both are true. Maybe Hunter didn't want to leave the laptop there like he did, and then all this porno crap on himself come out, and all of this child grooming and child trafficking stuff for him comes out, because Hunter doesn't want to go down for stuff, I don't think. But at the same time, I think that maybe he himself was trying to gather evidence on his own dad to, at some point, do something to get back at him. And so it shows that infighting within the family itself. And I think that's an interesting perspective because, again, like I said, I mean, his sister has dealt with almost the same things that he has. And of course, he goes off and does his own sexual crap, but she doesn't do that level of sexual crap, mind you. Hunter's been inducted into the club, let's just say. And so he's into it all. Finger Lakes tattooed on his back and everything. And we've been over the Finger Lakes thing with the child trafficking, human trafficking of the of elite people with money. That's the biggest place for them to do that, and that's pretty well established, I think. There's even a place up there called Lucifer Falls. So again, Hunter has been inducted into the club, but so he doesn't want himself to be incriminated, but he also is trying to gather evidence on his dad because he wants to get back at his dad for making him this bagman pawn all of his life, for making him like this is the only thing that he has to do in his life. And, perhaps his dad is waving over his head, like, hey, you're a part of the club. There's all this stuff on you. So, you'll be discredited and you'll be shown to be some kind of a criminal if you don't do what I want. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there was like back and forth.
I'm with Susie. She says, were the kids medicated for ADD or ADHD? Yeah, I was. I remember being medicated for it and giving me.
I didn't hear anything specifically about that.
No, but I'm gonna. She had another statement in there. She says that would explain the drug use in these adult kids now. Yeah, exactly. It would, because it's such a stimulant. To take the ADD or ADHD drugs, that once you actually start using them.
Did you see about the depression drugs that came out?
I didn't.
On this?
Let me finish my thought.
Oh, yeah,
Let me finish my thought. So anyway, I remember taking these particular drugs when I was younger, and yes, it did stimulate me to the point where after taking myself off of them, that I needed to find something else, and I abused different things. That's why when I go into specific rants on certain things, I'm able to. Other things I'm not, because there's a cognition issue that come from too many drugs being used in my lifetime. And there is a big fucking issue. I hate these drugs that they actually pushed on these kids to help fix what they say is ADD, ADHD, which is just somebody having different thoughts and opinions than yourself, is pretty much what it comes down to. Yeah, I know there's some kids that actually say they benefited from using it, or they still benefit from using it because they have adult ADD, or it's really freaking disgusting and gross on what they actually did to these kids. We didn't want our youngest on medication. Exactly. That's exactly it. That's why, I mean, putting these kids on these medications and in a young age actually hurts them in the long run, because then they had already become addicted to using the stimulant to keep them calm, that they think some other stimulant's going to actually do that.
Well, right. What kid doesn't
Exactly,
have trouble
Unsolved
with
Mystery.
that?
What kid doesn't have trouble focusing?
And it's just an excuse to, exactly as you're implying, it's just an excuse to get them onto a drug.
It's an excuse to actually put them on some kind of narcotic that they'll never ever be able to live down.
And all of this kind of ties back to this same idea here. If you pulled up the thing that I have pulled up here, if you're done with your saving there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Here you go.
This is from University College of London, and Jack Posobiec retweeted this. And let me make it bigger here. University of London.
I don't know how much longer we're going to go, Killshot. Just letting you know.
Oh, yeah. University of College of London study finds no evidence of a link between serotonin and depression, casting doubt on over widespread use of SSRIs designed to treat chemical imbalance. And that's what they claim that ADHD is. It's just this chemical imbalance and it's making you hyper and whatever else. Yeah, no. Actually, the same thing that they said was depression. It's this chemical imbalance of serotonin and this, that, whatever the hell else. It's not a thing, actually. They're just making you take drugs. And the side effects of some of these specific ones for depression and stuff is, outside of even the ADHD ones, which are already bad enough. The ones that are this are mania, psychopathy, suicidal thoughts, murderous thoughts. Gee, I wonder. But hey, let's just keep pumping our society full of this shit. And then guess what else? This stuff goes into your municipal water supply after people go to the bathroom. And then that gets into the water. And then you drink it. And then you shower in the damn shit. Albeit it's not the entirety of the water, but if you get what I'm saying, like it's still present there. Like over time, how much of this is building up in other people's systems?
This is what drugs do to people. Right here. You see that? Brad Pitt on the red carpet wearing a skirt and cardigan.
Oh my God.
That's what is wrong right now. Is there's so many people that have been so used to taking and using so many drugs and thinking that it's going to actually fix their issue, when it does just the opposite of that. It actually just kind of keeps it inside of you, and you don't deal with the issue, as opposed to just dealing with the issue that you need to deal with.
Exactly.
It's
because
still
it's not
gonna
something...
be there once you're done using the drugs. The issue's still fucking there.
Yeah.
It just makes you want to continue to do more and more. It's just the stupidest thing I've ever fucking seen anybody ever fucking do. And I was there. I used so many freaking stupid ass drugs, fucked myself up to the point where, well, I actually figured out how to get myself off of it, and I didn't go to the point of actually going to wearing skirts and cardigans on the red carpet, because, I just used so many drugs, and now I feel like I'm a female. Wrong. So disgusting.
Lead author
God
Professor
damn.
Joanna Moncrieff, a psychiatrist, said, quote, the popularity of the, quote, chemical imbalance theory has coincided with a huge increase in the use of antidepressants. Thousands suffer from side effects of antidepressants, including severe withdrawal effects. And a lot of these drugs, that's exactly what they do. They give you withdrawal because they are sort of suppressants, I guess, if you will, or they're like relaxants, or they're whatever the hell else they do to you. And it gets you hooked. And it gets you on these things, and it's like, you never solve the problem psychologically, so you're just perpetually hooked on this drug that drives you crazy mad or whatever, and or either that or just plain out makes you addicted, and then it fills your body's that stuff's not healthy for you. I mean, this stuff cannot be healthy for you at all. And then it gets into the municipal water supply, and then other people are taking it in at certain levels over time. I mean, this is like total shit show. But oh no, we'll just give everybody ADHD drugs, depression drugs, this stupid shit, that stupid shit. And as it turns out, depression isn't just simply, oh, you're sad means there's a chemical imbalance. It doesn't mean that somebody hit you and made you sad. No. Has somebody abused you when you were younger and you're sad? No. No. You have a chemical imbalance. You need to be on drugs.
Kids are bored because U.S. public schooling does not stimulate or challenge them. Exactly. It was so freaking boring in school. They do some of the drugs that they use to treat manic depressives cause many problems later on. Yep. So many. It's disturbing on so many levels that we just allow this stuff to run rapid and make it okay for them to do these narcotics. Just
the studies
nasty
found
drugs.
there was
I
no
had
difference.
loved one of these drugs, and they had to change their drugs to treat them. Yeah, exactly. Because once Ritalin starts not working, you go and switch it up to use the Adderall, which actually has the methamphetamine in it. Go ahead.
Yay. Oh, what freaking fun. The studies found there was no difference in serotonin levels between people diagnosed with depression and healthy people, despite polls suggesting that up to 95% of the public believing this is the case.
See, there's new drugs that they've created since I remember Ritalin and Adderall. Now she's like Halidol. I mean, there's so many what they call antidepressants that are just not something that anybody should ever take, regardless to how depressed they are. If they're that depressed and they need some assistance, they need to go see a doctor.
Really, they need to go see a pastor or actually get a good friend and talk with a friend.
Anything.
Because it's as we're seeing here.
I mean, obviously, doctors are going to just do whatever they want. When I say I meant psychologists. Like, go see a mental psychologist to actually help you through your issue.
Not just any one of them. These people,
right? If they're going to sit there and try peddling drugs at you, you'd be like, "Nope, you're not the one. I need somebody that's going to assist me. I need somebody that's going to actually help me through my issue without telling me I need to take something."
Or cut your genitals off. Because that's what the other half of them want to do. It's like, hey, you're sad.
Your genitals,
it's because you're
to what
actually
you are.
a woman. You need to mutilate yourself and sterilize yourself forever. Because that'll help everything.
Yeah, right. Could you imagine a guy is so mentally unstable that he has to go to a doctor for a doctor to say, "Oh, you're so mentally unstable. You remind me of a woman. You should just cut that tallywhacker off."
I mean, literally, like that's what these people are telling me. I mean, it's insane. But the thing is that they're telling more and more kids that. They're not telling fully grown adults that. They're telling kids that, and they're being like, "Oh yeah, kids, like you're sad, you're depressed, but like, you need to do this."
You know
to
what
yourself.
helps with the baby blues? Having a father in the household, so that way when something doesn't go right, and you don't have an escape, and you need to get away, there's another parent in the household to help take care of the child so that you can get away for a few minutes so you don't go mental.
Right?
Father absence is a big thing.
It's as though we were meant to have father and mother.
I'm one of them. I have a 24-year-old son. The 24-year-old son is, hasn't talked to me since he was 18. My 13-year-old daughter, who I love dearly, I seriously had been absent for most of her life, like the first 4 years before I was actually allowed back into her life, and then I was around, and it's still around. but minimal, because her mom doesn't like the fact that I actually used so many drugs. And now I'm with a third woman, which is my wife, with a soon to be 3-year-old that I am involved in. I am the at home father. I take care of that child. The difference between my first two and this one, big difference. Yeah, we still have our times where we just need to get away from him because he's a kid. Kids are hard to deal with. I take care of him all day long. That's why I come in here and I talk to adults, 10 o'clock Mountain Standard Time every night. I do it on purpose to get away from that issue and actually give myself a little bit of mental stability where I can actually deal with them again tomorrow without feeling like that's all I'm doing.
Right. And so this is a psychological, this is a, human issue. This isn't a, oh my golly, your chemicals are off. Like, no, like it's you are reacting to something in your environment.
I don't think that 13% is right. I think that's a lot larger number than they're actually.
I had this up here because I was about to say, like, yeah, I mean, I think that's minimal. I think that's the lowest number you could go, but I do definitely think it's higher. 100%. At this point, yeah. And that's just the antidepressants, not counting into, like we were talking about earlier with ADHD stuff or with ADD medicines or any of the rest of that stupid crap shit. I mean, I have my brother used to take some of that, and I used to think, oh, well, this might be good, or like, oh, there's actually something wrong. Nope. Not true. Of course, I was younger, so I didn't know any better. I didn't have all the time in the world to research everything, although I did quite a bit, but I didn't do that. And, well, you learn. And, oh, find this out. That was not a good thing.
Thank you, Susie. She says, "Cool, you're doing so good." Just the way things went for her, though. One treatment and killing her thyroid off. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's sad.
Well, so there's that news from that study again from the, let me pull this back up here, from the University College of London study. Again, finds no evidence of a link between serotonin and depression, casting doubt over widespread use of SSRIs designed to treat chemical imbalance. And specifically depression, too. It's like, I mean, again, like I said, that's you're reacting to your environment. This isn't some sort of a chemical imbalance. I mean, literally, I mean, it's like if somebody sits there and punches you in the face relentlessly every day, and then it's just like, gee, I'm sad. It's like, why? Oh, because I can't even keep my nose straight on my face because people just keep punching me. It's like, here, you need to take an antidepressant. It's like, what the hell? That's not going to solve anything. It's your environment. It's you. There's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with other people in your environment or whatever. Like it's not just, oh, you need a happy pill. Like, what the hell? So, but anyways, but again,
yeah, speaking of things that are in our food supply, there's some other things that they're actually trying to figure out to actually put into our food supply to actually keep, I can't really get into it. I can't really actually go all the way into depth on what they're actually doing to certain items in our food supply.
Oh God!
Right?
Oh geez. One solved mystery: nature versus nurture. Yep. I think that's pretty clear that you need that. This isn't just simply a thing of well, pop a pill. It's nurturement of yourself. Taking care of yourself, and maybe speaking about things with a pastor or a trusted friend, someone who is a good, solid moral, decent individual who can objectively look at things. And again, I mean, if you have to go to some kind of a psychologist, make sure it's somebody that is good, that's solid, that would be not a wacky Christian, but like a decent, solid, Christian has a solid foundation like that, I would say. And just talk the problems out, basically, and get it out and solve it. And it's not a pill that's going to fix it. It's something that has to be solved. It is a problem, and it needs a solution of some kind.
Exactly. That's one of
Not
those
saying
first
what,
things.
but
That right there. Loved ones, hugs. Getting a hug from a loved one does major things to your body and makes you feel better about certain things. So it's like when my wife comes home, because she works all day while I'm being the at-home dad, the second she walks in the door, I let her do her thing, do what she needs to do to, take her work clothes off and get comfortable or whatever. The second that she's done doing what she needs to do for herself, that's where I step in and I give her the welcome home, give her a hug, hand her a plate of food, and let her enjoy the rest of her night until I come in here to do this. Sometimes it doesn't work out to get the kid down in time, but sometimes it does. we've if you've been watching us, you understand what I'm saying. Because
I mean, let's just admit it. He wants to be famous. He wants to be on. He wants
Oh,
to be
yeah.
on. He wants to be on the
He
hot mic.
will.
I mean, let's just be honest here.
He will. One of these days he'll be on this hot mic. He'll actually be the person actually holding the conversations and realizing that dad actually did all this and dad actually went out and tried making a difference in this world as opposed to just being another guy on the internet. Understood being a stay-at-home mom, and yeah, your tadpole sounds so fun. He's the best. Like I said, he's about ready to turn 3 here within the next month or so, and he's just so sweet and he's so smart.
And I love how your wife also calls him a tadpole. Like she came on here with the game on the game night, and she's like, "Oh yeah, the tadpole." It's like it's like, oh my god, he has her in on this.
Absolutely. She understands why I do this, and it's not that I'm doing it. I know that there was an argument the other night when they in Discord or whatever about somebody trying to say that what we were doing, that everybody always wants to get monetized, and it's like, well, yeah, that's a bonus. That's not why I'm here, though.
Oh yes,
I don't.
the freakazoid.
Right. I'm not here for that specific reason.
Oh my god.
I'm here to actually talk about this stuff, hold
so
a conversation with AmericaShirts, and let people know what is actually going on. I really, like I said, it's just a bonus. But, being that that's the bonus, the way to get to the bonus is to actually subscribe, like, and share. Do those YouTube things. If something happens,
plug. Gotta do it.
If something happens to this channel, make sure you go down below, hit up that locals page, hit up that Rumble page, subscribe. While you're there,
and that's not a suggestion,
look
folks. That's a you need to if you want to keep up with us, because YouTube could go full blown totalitarian mode and just be like, up.
Right, I have that. I'm like debating on if I should remove my most viewed clip of Ketanji Brown Jackson saying she's not a biologist, and then throwing the Merriam-Webster definition up right afterward.
Yeah, so you need to go to Rumble and Locals.
So I'm like, are they going to take that away from me? Are they going to go and be like, no, you can't have this?
You're insinuating violence.
Right, going right. Oh, and you're being transphobic. No, I'm not.
You're violating
just telling you
community
exactly
guidelines.
What it is. This is so stupid.
So yeah, go over to Rumble and go over to Locals. I also have a Rumble channel.
Yep.
That is
Hit
spelled the exact
America
same way,
Shirts.
capital A, capital S, all together, one word, America Shirts. If you search that into Rumble, you will find it. And you should totally subscribe there as well. And but again, like, yeah, go to Rumble, subscribe to me, subscribe to, again, obviously Koolfrogg, and on the local side, Koolfrogg. Because if you want to keep up with our fun sauce, whatever the hell, you
Our
should.
fun sauce? Oh, that didn't sound good.
Oh, that didn't sound good, did it? But at any rate,
that sounds
we'll act like that
disgusting,
never
my man.
happened. And you should go over to Rumble and Logos and do that because, well, actually, it's not you should, you need to. Because that's the only way to ensure contact at this point. And other people are doing this as well. This isn't just us. I mean, this is a thing with major media, major social media. This is a thing. So hop on over there, sign up for Rumble, Locals, and subscribe over there.
See,
so
even
that way
Susie's
you don't
laughing
miss
at
out.
you.
I don't know
Fun
what you people are
sauce.
talking about. I don't
I have
remember. I don't
no
remember
clue
me
why
saying
you.
anything.
What made you come up with that?
I was
That
thinking of
just
like
the
awesome
weirdest
sauce
shit.
and like something else, and then it was like it kind of mashed together, and that was not good. But we're acting like it never happened.
Don't be mashing things together like that.
You know what?
What? You tell me.
You know what?
Exactly. Once off. That sounds like some Hunter Biden shit. Fun sauce.
Oh no. Oh no. Maybe it was from reading all of those Hunter Biden texts and stuff. It's like fried my brain for 2 weeks or something, or I can't come up with anything else. I don't know.
So apparently Joe Biden's all in on running for 2024. I was just skimming through some stuff just to see if there's anything else that was good enough to put up here, or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's great. Read that. Biden inflation pushes diesel prices sky high, smashing farmers, truckers, and consumers. We all know. We see it. We went through that. We told you. I freaking filled up the van tonight. $75 freaking for 16 gallons of fuel. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. That was after going grocery shopping and spending almost $250. It's just like for 6 bags of groceries. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me right now. The kiddo's like really enjoying his milk. Oh my Lord. I already drank a couple gallons of milk myself in a week. Now he's drinking the milk. And I'm like, ugh. We're going through at least 3, if not 4. There's so much milk. And there's like prices are just skyrocketing. Did you want me to read the Bill Gates Foundation just paid the Chinese Communist Party to recruit foreign scientists? No? Probably not.
Yeah.
We are past the 3-hour mark.
Right.
We did kind of shell out the channels. Make sure that you check those things out.
Yeah.
Click on those links. There are some other links that are down below. Those are our friends, our misfits, and they're the best. Check them out as well if you haven't already. I know a lot of you have come from these other channels. I mean, maybe we'll do a Steve Bannon day here within the next 2. See what happens with them tomorrow.
Yeah. See what happens with it tomorrow. They had their opening arguments today, and
right, and it was just a one-sided argument. It sounded fun. I didn't really get into what the argument really was. I didn't really pay attention to any of it, so I got to do some looking around. You want to do that tomorrow? Cover Steve Bannon?
Sure, why not? Also,
sounds like fun.
On my Rumble, I have 2 videos posted. They are excerpts of this show where I go on a little bit of a rant, and then also I talk about, share a little bit of info that I got, and then go on a rant. And then the one previous to that, we go over the Hunter Biden texts, and I read all of them off. So you should totally check those out if you haven't yet seen those. I see several people have migrated their way over there. If that is you, thank you. If you haven't, go over there and check that out. If you haven't watched it live, that would be awesome. And then, of course, if we go beyond that on the live show, like I said, it's just an excerpt. But check that out. I think it'll be worth your time. So
I think I'm going to go maybe potentially head over to this open invite at the MadCore's after party.
Oh, no.
If they're still going. And visit them for a few minutes. It look like they're actually doing something. That being said, everybody have a wonderful night.
Later, peeps.
Later.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.